pleasing the lowly adopted son. The pampered legitimate daughter picked chestnuts from fire with bare hands. When she presented the chestnuts to her brother with her burned hands, he maintained a cold expression, concealing the turmoil in his heart. Since childhood, Zhao Zhao had always bullied Xiao Yi, relying on her status as the legitimate daughter. But since waking up yesterday after hitting her head, she suddenly shed her willful nature, becoming a delicate and adorable girl. She even constantly tried to please her second brother, whom she used to look down upon. This made Xiao Yi suspicious, wondering what new trick she was planning against him. Little did he know that Zhao Zhao was reborn, in her previous life, her father's illegitimate daughter. After entering the family, under malicious flattery, he was raised to become an arrogant and incompetent noble. In contrast, the illegitimate daughter Nan Yan was cultivated into a refined lady. Later, Zhao Zhao happily married the second son of Shu's governor, but unexpectedly, Nan Yan had already been intimate with her husband, and disfigured her with boiling water. In the end, Zhao Zhao met a tragic fate of losing everything. By then, Xiao Yi had become a powerful figure with immense influence at court, so clinging to the future powerful figure became Zhao Zhao's most important task after rebirth. But just as she woke up, her cousin urgently pulled her out of the room. Today is when your father brings his concubine home. Hurry and teach them a lesson. Soon they arrived at the flower hall. The two little ones quietly hid behind the screen to observe. They saw the old madam heavily slam the white jade teacup on the flower table. Your wife hasn't been gone for 2 years, and you're already bringing in a concubine. Have you thought about Zhao Zhao? But Nan Guang showed no shame, instead praising how well Madame Lu had raised Nan Yan. As he finished speaking, Nan Yan stepped forward and respectfully greeted the old madam, paying respects to grandmother, wishing grandmother good health and fortune in everything. Meanwhile, behind the screen, Zhao Zhao's face turned pale. In this life, she absolutely couldn't let these venomous mother and daughter enter the family, so she decisively stepped out from behind the screen. She threw herself into the old madam's arms, surprising everyone. Then she bounced in front of Nan Yan, pretending to ask innocently, "Sister, did father buy you to perform opera for grandmother?" Being referred to as a lowly performer, Nan Yan gritted her teeth in anger. Nan Guang quickly clarified awkwardly, "Nan Yan is your Aunt Lu's daughter, also your sister." The little girl's eyes widened in shock. The next moment, she burst into tears and threw herself into the old madam's arms. "Grandmother, father doesn't want me anymore." While Nan Yan still wanted to convince the innocent daughter, the old madam harshly rebuked her. "Shut up. Can't you see Zhao Zhao is crying her heart out?" But Nan Guang left with a final word, "No matter what, I will marry Madame Lu next month." After saying this, he left directly with Nan Yan. That butcher Lu. The old madam held the little one in her arms with reddened eyes. "My poor Zhao Zhao, what will become of you?" This made Zhao Zhao's nose tingle with emotion. She remembered how in her previous life, she was manipulated to grow distant from grandmother, until she was locked in the city manor's firewood room. Seeing Nan Yan appear with white flowers, only then did she learn that her loving grandmother had passed away. Thinking of her past self, not only incompetent but truly unfilial. At this thought, she couldn't help but burst into loud sobs. After a while, she walked out of the flower hall in the drizzling rain. Unexpectedly, she bumped into a tall, straight figure. The maid told her that the second young master was punished by old madam to make 10 kites by hand. Her heart instantly panicked. The future powerful official making kites for her was simply too much. But this golden ticket not only needed to be secured, she wanted the whole manor to help secure it. So she immediately ordered the maid to prepare a bowl of hot ginger soup. She nervously held up a paper umbrella and approached the young man. Due to their height difference, she had to stand on tiptoes, holding the paper umbrella high above his head. However, Xiao Yi impatiently raised his eyebrows and stepped back, then coldly tore up the kites in his hands. "I made the 10 kites, but how I deal with them is my business." Zhao Zhao's heart sank. Though the golden ticket had a terrible temper, she still had to win him over. She hurriedly took out 2 pieces of candy with trembling hands. "Second brother, are you hungry? Try some of my candy first." However, Xiao Yi's expression grew even darker, his gaze sharp as a knife, coldly falling on the little girl's slightly raised pinky. In his memory, whenever the little girl ordered him around, she always raised her pinky finger like this. Suddenly, the young man mercilessly slapped away her small hand. The peach blossom candy fell onto the wet ground. Zhao Zhao, with tears in her red eyes, helplessly touched her reddened hand, reminding herself, "This is the future golden ticket of the Nan family." Don't get angry. Don't get angry. So she suppressed her displeasure and put on a sweet smile. Second brother, I was thoughtless before. Please don't hold it against me. However, being only 12 years old now, the delicate little girl caught in the rain suddenly collapsed onto the ground. Yet the young man just coldly watched her fall, not moving an inch. She wasn't discovered until the maid returned. Until nightfall, Zhao Zhao finally woke up startled from her uneasy sleep. She heard the maid angrily saying that second young master was punished with the stone whip by old madam for causing the young miss to catch a cold. Her heart shook violently. All her efforts to win his favor had only made second brother hate her more. Suddenly, she had an idea. She grabbed a bottle of medicine and rushed out. When she finally reached second brother's courtyard, out of breath, she discovered that second brother's courtyard was desolate and dilapidated. Not even a single servant was in sight. Then she quietly pushed open the door. As the young man was shirtless, she could clearly see the torn flesh on his back. Feeling guilty, Zhao Zhao tiptoed closer, softly calling out, "Second brother." Xiao Yi, who was pretending to sleep, suddenly opened his eyes. A broad palm mercilessly gripped the little girl's neck. Seeing the little girl's frightened eyes, the hand slowly loosened, but it still scared Zhao Zhao enough to fall sitting on the ground. After calming down a bit, she pitifully held out the medicine. Duan Yu ointment, saying, "It can remove scars. It's very expensive." However, Xiao Yi pressed his lips tightly, secretly wondering if the little girl had changed her nature or was playing tricks. As Zhao Zhao's body trembled in fear, the small bell tied to her waistband jingled. The noise made Xiao Yi increasingly irritated, his body emanating a frightening chill. Suddenly, the young man swiftly moved closer and yanked off the noisy bell. Without any mercy, he crushed the expensive bell. The world finally returned to peace. However, Zhao Zhao stared blankly at the flattened bell, suddenly feeling the urge to cry. This was a gift from Big Brother. Go report it then. I won't report it. I'll take care of second brother. The sensitive Xiao Yi became more confused. Could the little girl have come tonight to confess? Zhao Zhao immediately tried to please him obediently. I wronged second brother before. As compensation, I'm willing to do anything for second brother. However, Xiao Yi gave a disdainful cold laugh, wanting to frighten the little girl. Then retrieve chestnuts from the fire for your brother. But Zhao Zhao took it seriously. Looking carefully, there were no tongs near the charcoal brazier. To please the future powerful figure, she was willing to risk trying, so she swallowed hard, quickly reached into the scorching charcoal brazier and took out the chestnuts. When she presented the chestnuts to brother with her burned red hands, brother used a cold expression to hide the turbulent waves in his heart. He had meant to scare her away, but didn't expect she would actually do it. Could it be that she truly realized her mistakes? Unexpectedly, the severely ill little girl couldn't bear it and fainted. This time, Xiao Yi didn't ignore her, but steadily held her in his arms. He even thoughtfully applied ointment to her burned hands. Though the young man still showed disdain, he still carried the troublesome little girl back in his arms like a princess. He stared at the unconscious little girl in his arms, recalling scenes of his past mistreatment and bullying. In his dark heart, a twisted thought suddenly emerged. From now on, only he could bully this delicate little fool. After sleeping for 2 full days and nights, Zhao Zhao finally opened her eyes hazily. She heard the maid gossiping about the mansion's affairs these 2 days. 2 days ago, old madam asked second young master how he hurt his hands. He said he didn't know, which angered old madam, who punished him to kneel in the ancestral hall copying scriptures. However, Zhao Zhao became more and more dejected as she listened. She meant to please second brother, but why did things always go wrong? This time retrieving chestnuts from the fire was all for nothing. But soon, having been hungry for 2 days, she was attracted by the fragrant bird's nest porridge, so she obediently drank the porridge with her plump cheeks. And after filling her stomach, she hurriedly went on her short legs to explain to grandmother, "It wasn't second brother's fault. I was craving chestnuts and knocked over the charcoal brazier, burning my hands." She shook her little head like a rattledrum, worried that grandmother would scold second brother. The punished Xiao Yi still maintained his cold poker face, but somehow, the little girl's words were like clear spring water, quietly nourishing his sealed heart. Old madam fell silent. After a moment, she suddenly asked the young man in a deep voice, "I wronged you this time. Do you resent me?" Xiao Yi replied respectfully on the surface, "I dare not." The shrewd old madam heard the hidden meaning. It was, dare not, rather than, will not. She then spoke a few words of comfort. She also ordered servants to select and send some proper scholarly items. Zhao Zhao immediately realized this was her chance to perform. so she suggested in her childish voice, "Also please have someone fix up second brother's courtyard and arrange some servants and maids for him." Old Madam indulgently agreed to everything. Delighted, Zhao Zhao immediately blinked her starry eyes, seeking credit from the future powerful official, but was met with his long-held disdain. Old Madam quietly observed the silent bickering between the siblings. She pondered how the Lan family had been merchants for generations but never produced a scholar. If Xiao Yi could obtain an official position in the future, he might become Zhao Zhao's support. Just then, concubine Lu sent gifts to Old Madam and Zhao Zhao, claiming they were handmade. It seemed Lu was trying to wear down Old Madam's resistance to officially enter the family. Although Old Madam furiously drove away both the visitors and their gifts today. What about the future? How could they fundamentally prevent Lu from entering the family? On the way back, Zhao Zhao was lost in thought, but even after racking her little brain, she still had no ideas. She didn't notice at all that someone following behind was already fuming at her indifference. Therefore, when Zhao Zhao suddenly turned around and gave someone a sweet smile, Xiao Yi arrogantly kept a straight face and walked past the little girl. But Zhao Zhao wasn't discouraged and grabbed second brother's clothes. "Clever second brother, help me think of an idea. I'll have the kitchen make you chicken soup and roast duck." However, Xiao Yi stopped. He lowered his eyes and squinted disdainfully, thinking this little girl's nature wasn't bad, just a bit foolish. Rather than letting others bully her, it would be better if he was the only one to bully her. So the young man casually reminded her where the root of external matters lay. Though Zhao Zhao wasn't well read, she wasn't stupid and immediately understood. Soon, a little girl about 10 years old appeared at the largest opera house. The manager, seeing her youth, was about to brush her off casually, but unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao calmly asked back, "I want to buy Lu Xiaomeng's contract. Can the manager make this decision?" After speaking, she generously tossed a considerable reward to the manager. Though delicate, little Miss Zhao Zhao was unlike other inexperienced young ladies, showing boldness beyond her years. Soon, she met the real owner behind the opera house as wished. Unexpectedly, it was a charming woman in casual dress. Though slightly tipsy, her speech was clear. Seeing how clever the fifth miss of the Nan family was, she quoted 50,000 taels for Lu's contract. Today's number almost made Zhao Zhao jump in shock. Though she wanted to buy peace with money, she didn't want to be treated like a lamb for slaughter, especially by such an evil merchant. This place actually raised many beautiful girls, waiting for them to gain status through their children and become concubines in wealthy families, then use their contracts to extort high ransoms from their masters. She was gambling now, betting that the other party would pay 10,000 taels for the contract to keep her quiet. When the other party readily agreed, she regretted not bargaining for more. Nevertheless, she knew the rules of business. After setting the payment date, she left. The little girl's first act after rebirth was surprisingly to rely on the brother she disliked, only because she wanted to use her brother's future power as the imperial tutor to escape the tragic fate of family destruction from her previous life. Unexpectedly, the brother who had bullied her for years was actually hiding. A deep madness. He just loved scaring the little girl until she cried loudly, anxious enough to say anything. At just 12 years old, she promised to be filial to her brother and mourn for him. Seeing the little girl sad, he felt heartache and wanted to give her the whole world. Hearing she was bullied by others made his teeth itch with anger. How could he allow others to bully someone he bullied? So Xiao Yi casually hinted at where the concubine's root lay, and in return, Zhao Zhao was preparing to give second brother a gift. Just as she was worried about what gift to please him with, she accidentally glimpsed Nan Yan entering a stationery shop. She immediately excitedly pulled her maid along to join the crowd. Inside, the shopkeeper was eagerly promoting an inkstone worth 1,000 taels, while Nan Yan was biting her lip hesitantly. At this moment, a delicate little girl walked in with light steps. Zhao Zhao was in high spirits, being able to witness her most disliked person in such an embarrassing situation without money. She didn't know if the inkstone was good, but today was a perfect day for face slapping. Then, right in front of Nan Yan, she grandly threw down a stack of banknotes and bought the inkstone. She heard the shopkeeper mumbling, "A legitimate young lady is indeed different from a servant's daughter." Lan Yan immediately broke into an embarrassed cold sweat, while Zhao Zhao left with her trophy, smiling broadly. The ignored Lan Yan remained in place, furious. Both were father's daughters, yet that fool lived in luxury while she lived frugally. She couldn't accept this unfairness. It was her maid's words that reminded her. Anyway, her mother would marry into the Nan family next month. As father's daughter, she could enter the Nan family early. Thinking of the luxurious life in the Nan family, her anger instantly disappeared. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Zhao Zhao was full of worries. After selling all the jewelry from her worthless father, she only had 2,000 taels left. Not enough for Lu's 10,000 tael contract, but the remaining jewelry was either brought from far away by Big Brother, or birthday gifts from second aunt, or what grandmother had picked from her dowry to give her. None of these could be sold. Suddenly, she had a flash of inspiration. She thought of the cunning future imperial tutor. Even though he's down and out now, second brother must have secretly saved quite a bit of private money. So she quickly grabbed the inkstone and eagerly rushed to second brother's courtyard. Blinking her crafty eyes, she sweetly called out, "Second brother." However, Xiao Yi, who had already noticed her, coldly stared at his book, pretending not to hear. The young man still wanted to pretend nothing was happening, but Zhao Zhao presented the gift with both hands like a treasure, clearly up to no good. This made Xiao Yi suspect that if he didn't give in, she might cause trouble, so he continued to maintain his indifferent appearance. Letting her unwrap the gift, she casually laid out the 4 treasures of study, and personally ground ink in the inkstone, saying, "Second brother's writing is so elegant. If sister could get second brother's calligraphy, she would surely frame it and hang it by her bed." Xiao Yi knew in his heart she must be plotting something to be so flattering, but he still decided to go along with her wishes. He picked up the brush and wrote on the paper. Zhao Zhao immediately beamed with joy, tentatively asking if the inkstone was good. He replied with a faint smile, "It's passable." She became even more proud, boldly boasting that she spent 10,000 taels. The young man's hand paused briefly while washing. He thought it was worth at most 1,000 taels. Unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao shamelessly asked for repayment, saying it was just 10,000 taels. Xiao Yi's expression suddenly changed, so she was trying to extort money from him. The young man simply refused to take the inkstone, but Zhao Zhao wouldn't have it. Second brother had already used the inkstone, so she'd give a discount 6,000 taels, for good fortune. Seeing Xiao Yi return to his cold expression, she panicked. If not that, then 5,000 for 5 blessings, 4,000 for 4 seasons prosperity, 3,000 for triple harmony, 2,000 for mutual benefit, or at least 1,000 for smooth sailing. Seeing her desperation, the young man felt a mischievous pleasure, his lips curling slightly upward. Zhao Zhao used her last resort, acting pitiful, with teary eyes, explaining she needed money to buy Lu's contract. Suddenly she hugged his leg, wailing dramatically, "Second brother, I'll be filial to you in the future, whether in mourning or regular worship days." Xiao Yi's heart twinged at her crying, and his mood grew irritated. He lightly tapped her head with his book. "Lu's contract will be delivered to you. With the future imperial tutor's sponsorship, the troublesome matter was easily resolved." Zhao Zhao immediately felt relieved and left with happy steps. The legitimate daughter of the richest family, just for spending mere 1,000 taels, was severely scolded by her father as if she had committed a terrible crime. She was even ordered to follow the guidance of an outside servant. However, what they didn't know was that the little girl's second brother was a cunning schemer. He liked to tease his little sister but wouldn't allow others to bully her. As it turned out, after witnessing Zhao Zhao's extravagant spending of thousands, Nan Yan was determined to enter the Nan family to enjoy wealth and glory. So, she returned home with her father's favorite walnut cookies. She pretended to be well behaved, delighting her father. While they were having a pleasant conversation, she secretly reported Zhao Zhao's misdeeds. "Today I saw Zhao Zhao wastefully spend 1,000 taels, but since I'm not living in the Nan mansion yet, my status is unclear, so I couldn't correct her." Father Nan Guang was instantly enraged upon hearing this, crushing the walnut cookie in his hand. It was too outrageous. She had spent his 5 months' living expenses in one go. In his fury, he immediately decided to let the sensible Nan Yan move into the Nan mansion early. She would live with Zhao Zhao, making it convenient to properly discipline her spoiled sister as an elder sister. The servants in the Nan mansion were distraught upon hearing the master's absurd decision, but Zhao Zhao remained remarkably calm. She didn't take the petty tricks to heart at all. She even greeted Nan Yan with a smile when they ran into each other face to face. But unexpectedly, someone liked to invite trouble. That afternoon, Cousin Nan Baozu excitedly came to play shuttlecock with Zhao Zhao. She was very surprised. How can a servant move in before her mother enters the mansion? Zhao Zhao didn't want her mood disturbed, so she quickly pulled her cousin away. But Nan Yan blocked their path. She wanted to use this opportunity to establish her authority in the mansion. If you don't listen to me and study properly, do needlework and embroidery, I'll tell father. Lan Baozu immediately became angry, pulling Zhao Zhao behind her. Who do you think you are? You have no right to discipline my sister. Feeling warmth from her cousin's protection, Zhao Zhao chimed in. But I don't want to study. Are you going to hit me with a ruler? The more the two sisters caused trouble, the more pleased Nan Yan became. She thought once she won the old madam's favor, she could also spend thousands of taels like Zhao Zhao. But unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao approached her with a smile, suggesting they go to the old madam together to settle things. Just as her small hand barely touched Nan Yan's hand, she suddenly stumbled, as if someone had deliberately pushed her, and fell to the ground. Tears immediately fell as she cried, "Sister, why did you push me?" Lan Baozu instantly understood and secretly gave a thumbs up. Before Nan Yan could react, she immediately rushed forward in distress. Following Zhao Zhao's lead, she wailed, "Oh, my poor cousin." The two sisters hugged and cried together. Their cries were heart-wrenching and pitiful. The surrounding servants began gossiping, and Nan Yan was so shocked her eyes nearly popped out. She quickly signaled her servant to find her father for support. Soon the matter reached the old madam. Even though Nan Yan repeatedly clarified she hadn't touched anyone, it was useless. The two clever sisters had joined forces against her. The innocent-looking cousin, as the only witness, strongly testified that Nan Yan had pushed Zhao Zhao. Zhao Zhao quickly rushed into her grandmother's arms, sobbing pitifully, making the old lady's heart ache. The old madam, who already disliked Nan Yan, became more disgusted and ordered her to be thrown out. Being expelled on her first day in the mansion was utterly humiliating. Nan Yan's mind was in chaos as she knelt there, dumbfounded. Just as the servants were about to lay hands on her, Nan Guang, who had rushed over upon hearing the news, immediately protected her behind him. Yanner is gentle and kind. She would never harm anyone, especially Zhao Zhao. You've committed a grave error today, far worse than Yanner. Kneel down and apologize immediately. Suddenly scolded, Zhao Zhao blinked her teary eyes, not understanding what terrible crime she had committed. Nan Guang shouted righteously, "You squandered 1,000 taels today." As soon as he finished speaking, the room fell completely silent. After a moment's pause, the old madam angrily threw her teacup at her son's forehead, making Nan Guang cry out in pain. His pathetic state amused Nan Baozu. Adding fuel to the fire, she took out a snack and asked, "Is 1,000 taels really such a large sum for our family?" Nan Guang was deeply hurt, wondering why he only received 200 taels monthly. At this moment, Xiao Yi suddenly entered with two servant girls. The young lady's top priority after her rebirth was actually her disliked brother, but unexpectedly, she got herself involved in living with the brother she despised. It turned out Zhao Zhao spent 1,000 taels to buy her second brother an inkstone, yet her father severely scolded her as if she'd committed a terrible crime. He even demanded she hand over all her private savings, to show filial piety. At this moment, Xiao Yi suddenly entered with two servant girls. These two pretty servant girls, as Zhao Zhao knew before, one was skilled in cooking, while the other claimed expertise in fortune-telling. But under Zhao Zhao's careful observation, she noticed calluses on Chongqing's index finger and tiger's mouth, marks typically left by martial arts training. Considering who Xiao Yi was, the future imperial tutor, he was quite shrewd. He would never allow ordinary maids to serve him closely. Therefore, Zhao Zhao boldly guessed that these two maids were actually Xiao Yi's confidants. Back to the present, Xiao Yi coldly paid his respects to the old madam. The old madam glanced at the maids behind him and nodded, asking if the inkstone Zhao Zhao gave was working well. Nan Guang muttered discontentedly, "How could 1,000-tael inkstone not work well?" But Xiao Yi still heard him and thought, "Very good indeed. She dared to trick me saying it cost 10,000 taels." The young man narrowed his eyes, coldly glancing at Zhao Zhao. Frightened, she immediately put on a forced smile and awkwardly scratched her face. Her skirt and socks were stained with mud, as if she had fallen earlier. Feeling guilty, Zhao Zhao started flattering shamelessly. "Second brother is so observant. Second brother is amazing." But Xiao Yi awkwardly mumbled, bootlicker, under his breath. Suddenly, Chong Shin from behind carefully examined Nan Yan. She stepped forward and solemnly reported, "Fifth Miss and this lady's zodiac signs clash, which causes problems. If the old madam allows, this servant suggests arranging for Fifth Miss to live with second young master. His exceptional destiny will surely resolve all the negative forces and tribulations in Fifth Miss's fate." The older generation preferred to believe than doubt, and most importantly, this concerned their beloved Zhao Zhao. After pondering for a moment, the old madam immediately decided that Zhao Zhao and Xiao Yi would move to Zhaowen Garden together. Nan Guang became anxious, resenting how the lowly Yangzi received a 1,000-tael inkstone, and now she could move into the most luxurious courtyard in the mansion. It was said that the Nan family had spent a fortune building it to receive the emperor during his inspection tour. Zhao Zhao was stunned. Something felt off, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. How did she suddenly end up living with this powerful official? Nan Yan was even more speechless, wondering what she had done to deserve this. Only Xiao Yi seemed satisfied as he played with his teacup. After hearing Yu Wei's complete report of the situation, the young man raised his eyebrows in displeasure, with a cold smile at the corner of his lips. Miss Lan Yan, she must have privately invited the lowly Yangzi. Lan Yan didn't take it seriously at all, responding with just a disdainful smile. The clever old madam immediately understood the meaning behind Xiao Yi's words. "In that case, we shouldn't interfere with your frugal lifestyle. Give orders that from now on, serve her plain food and tea. Simple clothes and hairpins will suffice, for the sake of wealth and status." She entered the Nan mansion only to live worse than before. Nan Yan's face turned green with anger, while Zhao Zhao and her cousin laughed until their cheeks hurt. The young lady who died tragically in her previous life became everyone's favorite after her rebirth. When bullied by the outside maid, she had her loving grandmother to support her. Even her disliked brother came to defend her. But the outside maid Nan Yan was only interested in wealth and status. Seeing Zhao Zhao's 200-piece dowry left by her mother, she became extremely envious. If she could snatch half of the dowry, she wouldn't worry about marrying into a noble family. So she wiped her tears, promising to be good sisters with Zhao Zhao and share all fortune together. Zhao Zhao laughed, thinking this hypocritical sister only wanted the fortune. She casually picked up a jade pendant. It was translucent green, finely crafted, obviously valuable. Nan Yan mistakenly thought it was for her, and became ecstatic, her eyes nearly popping out. However, Zhao Zhao suddenly pulled a mischievous smile. She carelessly threw it far away. Lan Yan rushed forward but was too late, and so, she watched helplessly as the fine jade shattered into pieces. Zhao Zhao dropped a line, "Things I don't like, no matter how beautiful others find them, I will destroy them." After saying this, she left with light, cheerful steps, in a great mood, leaving Nan Yan trembling with anger. No, she must get half of Zhao Zhao's dowry, so she immediately thought of her father, Nan Guang. Nan Guang was greedy and easily persuaded. Sure enough, when he heard Nan Yan say she could get a good amount of silver each month by helping manage Zhao Zhao's dowry, he was tempted. The daughter was young and wasteful, so it made sense for him to help manage it. Seeing Nan Yan cry over not having a dowry herself, he quickly comforted his daughter, saying he would make Zhao Zhao give half of her dowry to Zhao Wenyuan. Nan Guang unusually took the initiative to visit Zhao Zhao. Zhao Zhao was very happy, but when she heard her father's purpose was money, her mood instantly sank. Though disappointed, she still took out her money pouch to show her father. After buying the inkstone, she had no money left. Unexpectedly, Nan Guang shamelessly ordered Zhao Zhao to split her dowry with her sister and let him manage the rest. Xiao Yi couldn't sit still anymore. He asked contemptuously, "Third uncle, what do you mean by this?" Nan Guang mockingly replied that Xiao Yi was a kept man, letting a woman spend money on him. Zhao Zhao's heart jumped in shock. Oh my, this was the future imperial tutor. Was her father trying to get them all killed? So she quickly pulled her father aside. Father always thought of Nan Yan's interests. Listening to her manipulations, they planned to take away every bit of the dowry her mother left her. But what father didn't know was that in her previous life, after Nan Fu's downfall, all the money was taken by the mother and daughter, and he was sold by his wife. Before going insane, her penniless father had given her stolen money, saying it was to buy her favorite childhood candy from Shi Jinji. After her rebirth, Zhao Zhao knew well that crying children get candy, so she lowered her little head, tears falling one by one. "Father, you love sister. Don't you love me anymore? When I was little, you often bought me candy from Shi Jinji. But after mother left, you only accompanied sister. She cried more and more sadly, as if trying to cry out all the grievances from both lives. Nan Guang was stunned. The little pink bundle in his memories had grown up. He comforted his daughter with a shameful tone. Father was wrong. Let me go buy you candy from Shi Jinji, okay? After father left, Zhao Zhao wiped the tears from her face. Only then did she notice Xiao Yi was still there. Second brother, don't you know to give privacy when father and daughter are talking? Xiao Yi rested his chin on one hand, as if having watched a good show. The arrogant little girl, even after changing her ways to start anew. I didn't expect she'd become such a crybaby. Suddenly Zhao Zhao threw herself into the young man's arms, her fair and delicate face still bearing tears. Isn't this little crybaby adorable? Xiao Yi immediately stiffened. Adorable? You look absolutely ugly. The little girl discovered. The brother who used to be indifferent would now comfort her and buy her favorite Shi Jin candy. He even freely gave her father's contract of servitude from his previous life, and would even hold her when she was sad. Yet he still loved to make fun of her. Just when they moved to Zhao Wen Yuan, Xiao Yi was casually leaning against the wall, as if waiting for someone. The young man was fair and handsome, yet emanated an unapproachable aura. Zhao Zhao immediately called out sweetly, "Second brother," only to be met with his look of disdain. But she didn't give up and continued flattering him. Second brother is so talented and knowledgeable. You must know what Zhao Wen means. However, Xiao Yi gave her a deep look and explained plainly. Hearing the way in the morning, one can die content in the evening. Zhao Zhao was confused. Why would one die in the evening after understanding the truth in the morning? She suddenly thought of how in her previous life, she only realized her mistake in judging people when she was about to die. Xiao Yi chuckled. Do you really want to turn over a new leaf? Though the words felt strange, she still nodded obediently. Hearing the way in the morning and dying in the evening can mean that after understanding life's beliefs, one practices them willingly, content even in death, like those noble people who willingly sacrifice their lives when the nation faces life or death situations. The young man's determined gaze reminded Zhao Zhao of Xiao Yi from her previous life. In the previous life, Xiao Yi repeatedly went to war for the country, but his brilliant military achievements always drew jealousy and schemes from other officials. Even the common people believed that the imperial tutor was a powerful, treacherous official, but they never thought about how throughout history, no treacherous official would willingly die to protect their country. Zhao Zhao suddenly realized how to repay second brother. She would use the court secrets she accumulated in her previous life. She would pave a glorious path for him to gain both fame and fortune, making him respected by all and remembered in history. So she suddenly spoke. Second brother, you will definitely become a meritorious official beloved by all. Unlike her previous flattery, her tone was incredibly firm. Xiao Yi was surprised, his heart softening involuntarily. The next day, Zhao Zhao was writing diligently in the pavilion. This was because yesterday Xiao Yi complained her handwriting was too ugly and told her to practice. She happened to look up and saw her father Nan Guang carrying candy from Shi Jinji walking this way. She was about to run happily to greet him, when she saw Nan Yan blocking father's path. It turned out Nan Yan was very unhappy, as she hadn't received the good news about the dowry distribution yesterday. Now seeing father buying candy for her sister, it was clear he had been won over, so she deliberately sobbed and shed tears of grievance. Nan Guang's heart immediately melted at her crying. He hurriedly took his pitiful daughter out to eat. This scene was witnessed by Zhao Zhao from afar. Over these years, during festivals when father had reunion dinners with them, he never thought of the little daughter waiting lonely in the mansion. If father and they were a family, what was she? She became extremely dejected, lost the mood to practice, and walked out of the pavilion dejectedly. At the same time, behind the artificial mountain at the back of the pavilion, a young man in black had seen everything. He watched expressionlessly as the little girl left. Lost in thought, an unexpected comfort suddenly appeared, pulling him back from his thoughts. Master, we've searched the Nan family everywhere these years, but haven't found that thing. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Yi ordered to search the remaining ancestral hall, and Wei was stunned. After all, it was where their ancestors rested. Not quite appropriate. However, the young man gave Wei a cold glance. He immediately shuddered in fear and hurriedly bowed to accept the order. But Xiao Yi suddenly ordered to first buy a box of candy from Shi Jingji. Though startled, he still obediently complied. Soon, Xiao Yi, carrying a box of Shi Jingji candy, strode into Zhao Zhao's chamber. The room was in complete disarray. The little girl was hugging her knees, staring blankly. Zhao Zhao glanced sideways as her casual second brother sat down in the chair by the bed. Second brother, this is my chamber. What are you doing here? However, the young man casually tossed a candy into his mouth. Strawberry flavor. Try it. The little girl was in no mood and turned her face away in refusal. Xiao Yi chuckled. Aren't you the spoiled little crybaby who whines to make your father buy you candy? Zhao Zhao stared at the Shi Jingji candy box, her eyes immediately turning red. I only whined to father for candy hoping that he would. After crying for a while, she quickly wiped away her tears. What does second brother mean by bringing me candy? Are you trying to cheer me up? Xiao Yi's expression turned serious. Then he mockingly replied, I'm just using this candy as an excuse to come laugh at you. After all, we still have many scores to settle. The little girl was really not in the mood to argue, so she wrapped herself in the blanket like a cocoon, wanting to win by default before asking him to leave. Xiao Yi took out a leather envelope, placed it on the blanket before leaving. After he left, Zhao Zhao quietly emerged from under the blanket. She curiously opened the envelope. Her pupils suddenly contracted. It was Madame Lu's slave contract. The previous sadness was instantly washed away by overwhelming joy. She hugged the contract, screaming and rolling on the bed in happiness. Unexpectedly, this scene was caught by Xiao Yi, who had returned. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. The little girl hurriedly put on a sad expression. Xiao Yi saw through but didn't expose her, his lips curling into a slight smile. You have half a month left to prepare. Like a thief, Zhao Zhao made sure the young man had really left, before hugging the contract and excitedly spinning around the room 7 or 8 times. The future high official was truly generous, giving away 10,000 taels so easily. She happily stored the contract away and ordered her maid to find out who was the most unreasonable and troublesome ruffian. She wanted to present a grand gift at her father and Madame Lu's wedding. The little girl actually agreed to let father marry that viper-hearted concubine. She even persuaded grandmother, who strongly opposed it. She had carefully set up a trap for her good stepmother. How could it be complete without the main character? Completely unaware of this, Madame Lu was still immersed in the joy of marrying into a noble family. She had been a concubine for over 10 years, and had been laughed at for just as long. On her wedding day, she would invite all sorts of people to show off properly. Once she became Madame Nan, the first thing she would do was find a good marriage for her daughter. Lan Yan immediately thought of Zhao Zhao's marriage prospect, the second son of Shu's governor, a man with excellent looks, education, and family background. Since that little wretch refused to share the dowry, she would steal her marriage prospect instead. Hearing this, Madame Lu repeatedly praised her daughter's good taste. Truly worthy of being my daughter. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhao wasn't idle either. Being forced by second brother to practice calligraphy, she was in a gloomy mood. Her maid brought her wonderful news. They had found an unparalleled scoundrel, a complete good-for-nothing who was idle and addicted to gambling, who had lost all his fortune and even sold his wife and children to pay gambling debts. In short, he was a universally despised wretch. Perfect. Zhao Zhao calmly took out Madame Lu's slave contract. She had the maid pass it to San the scoundrel, telling him there would be 500 taels more after the job was done. Early on the wedding day, Zhao Zhao deliberately wore a festive dress, with delicate gold bracelets on her wrist, making the little girl look even more fair and lovely. She happened to run into Xiao Yi. She immediately sweetly flattered him. Second brother is still as elegant and handsome today. Truly a rare and graceful young man in this world. Though knowing it was mere flattery, the young man still felt pleased. They happened to run into Nan Yan, who was proudly leading around some plain-looking young ladies. They all looked at each other awkwardly. Zhao Zhao didn't want to deal with these plain girls, but Nan Yan insisted on introducing them. These young ladies were from common families of various backgrounds. However, they were instantly attracted by Xiao Yi's handsome appearance. Upon hearing he was just an adopted son of the Nan family, destined to have no share in their vast fortune, the young ladies' gazes immediately changed. Their eyes soon fell on the expensive gold bracelet on Zhao Zhao's wrist. They all warmly offered their inferior hairpins and ornaments, saying they wanted to trade for the little girl's gold bracelet. Though Zhao Zhao wasn't stingy, she wasn't a fool either. She could see right through their blatant attempt to swindle her, wanting to trade such things for her jewelry. These people were truly shameless. So, she unceremoniously pushed everything back to them. Gift exchanges are meant for friends and relatives. We're not at that level yet. The young ladies immediately became furious. Just because you have some money, who do you think you're looking down on? Nan Yan, as her sister. Why don't you teach her a lesson? Nan Yan's face turned green with anger, wishing she could throw these fools out. Meanwhile, A group of middle-aged women in colorful clothes and heavy makeup joined the ranks of fools. Among them, Madame Zhang, acting as an elder, tried to force Zhao Zhao to bow. The clever Zhao Zhao wouldn't fall for this. Madame Lu hadn't even entered the family yet. What kind of elders were these people? If they were anyone's elders, they were Nan Yan's. Whether it was entertaining or paying respects, that should be Nan Yan's responsibility. Nan Yan, suddenly dragged into this, was extremely embarrassed. But since it was her mother's important day, she couldn't lose her temper and could only glare angrily at these ignorant people. However, these people were intent on getting what they could, persistently demanding expensive meeting gifts from the little girl. Zhao Zhao didn't want to entangle with these people any further. She coldly replied, "Excuse me," and prepared to leave. At this moment, the impatient Madame Zhang suddenly lunged forward, trying to grab the little girl's jewelry. Startled, Zhao Zhao's first reaction was to look for second brother. Just then, the young man suddenly rushed forward and grabbed Madame Zhang's wrist, his face dark and terrifying, his brows furrowed, thinking that if Madame Lu enters the family, wouldn't the little girl be bullied to death? With a crisp crack, he forcefully broke the woman's wrist. A pig-like shriek instantly echoed throughout the entire Nan mansion. Yet the young man smiled mysteriously, suggesting the woman go complain to the bride in the main hall. The wealthy family's third madam turned out to be a common scoundrel's wife, and this was actually the legitimate daughter's carefully planned masterpiece. Zhao Zhao's goal was to make her father completely despise his vicious concubine. But unexpectedly, before the show could begin, the concubine's group of friends started causing chaos at the wedding first shamelessly demanding expensive jewelry from the little girl as meeting gifts. When that failed, they simply tried to grab it by force. Fortunately, at the crucial moment, the groom's son Xiao Yi came to the rescue in time. With a crack, he forcefully broke Madame Zhang's wrist. Finally, with a mischievous smile, he encouraged her to go cry to the bride in the main hall. Nan Yan sensed trouble and wanted to stop them, but Madame Zhang's shrewish temper wasn't something a child could contain. Seeing the group of women angrily rushing toward the main hall, she anxiously stomped her feet and had no choice but to follow. This stirring up trouble strategy was quite clever. Zhao Zhao immediately ran to second brother's side with an admiring face. As the young man's dedicated flatterer, praise flowed naturally. Second brother is wise. Second brother is mighty. Pleased by Zhao Zhao's compliments, Xiao Yi smiled unusually and didn't forget to gently flick the little girl's fair, smooth forehead. He led both of them into the main hall. Madame Zhang was making a scene beside the bride, demanding Lu Shi to uphold justice and discipline her unreasonable adopted son. Without asking for the reason, Master Nan ordered the young man to apologize to the guest with tea, but Xiao Yi arrogantly sat in the master's chair, his narrow eyes full of mockery, saying he would apologize when pigs fly. Lu Shi immediately clenched her fists in anger. If she didn't teach this low-born Yangzi a lesson today, she might lose her position in the mansion. So she pulled off the bridal veil from her head, ready to assert her authority in front of the guests. Suddenly, the old Madame Nan appeared at the hall entrance with an imposing presence. She hadn't wanted to appear as she hadn't finished her incense prayers. Yet the mansion was in complete chaos. She didn't want to hear a single word of Lu Shi's explanation. Instead, she specifically asked Zhao Zhao's maid to explain what happened. The maid recounted everything in detail before everyone. She especially emphasized that second young master only hurt Madame Zhang to protect the young miss. The guests' discussions immediately drowned out Lu Shi. In her heart, she resented these women who made her lose face. Now she could only sacrifice pawns to protect herself, immediately cutting ties with Madame Zhang. This angered Madame Zhang, who spilled everything. Lu Xiaomeng, you even called old Madame Nan a troublesome old witch. You invited us here to watch you show off. Lu Shi had been desperate to enter the Nan family, and now she was so close. She decided to throw away her dignity, dropping to her knees before Nan Guang, crying pitifully. Then she crawled to kneel before the old madam, playing the victim. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhao was cracking melon seeds while watching with interest. She excitedly whispered in Xiao Yi's ear, "Second brother, this dog-eat-dog prelude is truly spectacular." Just then, a dirty, gap-toothed man burst into Third Master Nan's mansion without restraint. "You bully the weak with your wealth, stealing my woman. If you don't return her to me today, I'll report you to the authorities for kidnapping." Nan Guang's face twisted in anger as he ordered servants to drag the ruffian out. The group of friends, being from common backgrounds, naturally recognized this man as the most troublesome one. The good show was just beginning. and Zhao Zhao naturally wanted it to continue. Father might have some concerns. To avoid legal troubles, it's better to let him explain clearly. The ruffian confidently announced that Lu Shi was bought with his life savings, and he still held her contract of servitude. Nan Guang was stunned. He clearly remembered Lu Shi saying she had never been sold to any theater troupe and was a pure maiden. Lu Shi panicked, screaming for someone to throw Wu Lai San into the moat to drown. Wu Lai San immediately slapped her. Lu Shi quickly threw herself into Nan Guang's arms, crying pitifully, moving his heart, so he gave Wu Lai San a hard kick. But this was Wu Lai San, whom even dogs avoided. He simply sat down and started wailing loudly. Seeing enough drama, Zhao Zhao calmly asked to see evidence. Only then did Wu Lai San stand up and pull out a contract. The contract clearly showed the name Lu Xiaomeng. Without another word, he reached out with his dirty hands, wanting to drag the woman home. Lu Shi tried to call for Nan Guang's help. However, Nan Guang had no time to care about her now, as waves of mockery from all directions had already overwhelmed him. Serves him right. This is what happens when you keep a concubine. You've been raising someone else's wife for over 10 years. Finally, his vision went black, and he fainted with a thud. The naive young lady had effectively handed her soon-to-be stepmother over to a shabby old ruffian, and caused her father to faint at the wedding scene. The wedding ended in farce before it even began. Having resolved such a major crisis, Zhao Zhao was most grateful to her second brother Xiao Yi, so she took the half-finished bowl of fish soup and eagerly ran to the study. Just then, Xiao Yi was thoughtfully looking through the young lady's calligraphy practice. Each page had the character, Xiao, written as required. Suddenly, he heard a sweet voice calling, "Second brother." The young man hurriedly covered those large characters, arms crossed. Inexplicably angry, Zhao Zhao muttered, "How dramatic," under her breath. She offered the fish soup. "Second brother works too hard studying. You need nourishment. Try this delicious fish soup I personally made for you." Though Xiao Yi didn't believe her, he still took a small sip. With one taste, he immediately recognized it as the fish soup he had sent earlier. "Taking the soup I sent and claiming you made it, then offering it back to me. Tell me, what do you want this time?" Seeing she was caught, the young lady smiled sheepishly. It turned out that after preventing Lu Shi from entering yesterday, she suddenly wanted to wash away her reputation as an airhead. The upcoming flower festival was a perfect opportunity for young people to showcase their talents and beauty. However, one had to correctly answer a question from the 4 books and 5 classics to participate. She thought of how Nan Yan in her previous life had excelled in the tests of music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. In comparison, she had neither talent nor virtue. She had become a huge laughingstock. Even in this new life, she still didn't know what the 4 books and 5 classics were, making it impossible to answer correctly. While she was contentedly enjoying the soup Yu Wei had sent, suddenly her eyes lit up, thinking of getting help from her capable second brother. So she eagerly ran to ask second brother if he could teach her to study. The young man expressionlessly refused, and she couldn't help but secretly roll her eyes. Soon she thought of a way to repay him, subtly revealing the exam questions she remembered from her memories. "Last time I heard fourth brother reciting something from The Great Learning. Do you think they'll use it as the threshold question at the flower festival?" The flower festival is just nobles' entertainment. The threshold questions won't be complex. Zhao Zhao continued asking, "Will such questions appear in the imperial examination?" The young lady lay on the desk, sticking out her bottom. Her bright eyes blinked playfully, looking very cute and mischievous. But the hair ribbon on one side of her bun was a bit loose. After staring at the loose ribbon for a moment, the young man inexplicably reached out his hand, wanting to help tie it tighter. Just as he was about to touch the ribbon, a maid's startled cry came from outside. Xiao Yi came to his senses, but as Zhao Zhao instinctively turned her head, the already loose ribbon came completely undone. "Second brother deliberately messed up my hair." This made the lovely Zhao Zhao unhappy, her fair cheeks puffing up in anger. She then took out a new ribbon, and struggled to fix her hair by herself. Then she rushed out of the study hurriedly, leaving Xiao Yi still tightly holding that hair ribbon. Actually, he didn't know what had possessed him just then. After a long silence, he wrapped the ribbon around his wrist. After the young lady's rebirth, she strived to change her family's tragic fate from her previous life, successfully preventing the vicious stepmother and daughter from entering the family. But unexpectedly, her love-struck worthless father was such a spineless man. He was quickly fooled by the scheming Nan Yan. Nan Yan first sold her belongings to buy back her mother's contract of servitude. Then she cried and demanded a blood test before Nan Yan to prove their blood relation. Nan Yan did all this not for her mother, but to clear obstacles for her future as an official's wife. However, Nan Yan became more determined to marry Lu Shi, even willing to fall out with the old madam and angrily move out of the Nan residence. Zhao Zhao was speechless about her father's actions. Now she just wanted to see how grandmother would meet her cousin. After much consoling, grandmother still looked worried. She gently persuaded, "Father is short on money and won't stay out long. You needn't worry about him. Actually, granddaughter came today for another matter requiring your permission." Grandmother was so relieved that without asking, she waved her hand telling her to take money from the accounting room as she pleased. However, Zhao Zhao proudly shook her head and declared confidently, "I want to study at school, then participate in the flower festival, to let everyone know the Nan family isn't just about money-grubbing merchants." As soon as she finished speaking, the room fell into silence. Grandmother looked astonished, and cousin Nan Baozu anxiously felt the young lady's forehead, worried that fever had affected her mind. Isn't shopping every day good enough? It would be so embarrassing to come last in public tests of music, chess, literature, and art. But the young lady insisted on bringing honor to the family. Seeing this, the old madam stopped objecting. Worried that Zhao Zhao would be upset about coming last, she said, "Zhu girl, accompany your sister to school." With Zhu girl at the bottom, our Zhao Zhao might have a chance to shine. Nan Baozu choked on a piece of cake, fighting back tears as she made a final struggle. "Can I refuse?" Early the next morning, the beauty-loving Zhao Zhao excitedly brought a pile of clothes to the study, wanting Xiao Yi to help her choose. However, the young man didn't even look up, continuing to practice his calligraphy. Being ignored, Zhao Zhao huffed angrily, but still persisted in acting cute and coy with the young man. Xiao Yi sighed helplessly. There really wasn't a more appearance-conscious girl than her, going to school as if it were a beauty pageant. Zhao Zhao ignored him, holding up clothes against herself one by one. A light yellow-green dress made the young lady look like a sprouting willow tree, full of vitality. So Xiao Yi commented that the water blue dress made the flower-like young lady look even more fair and lovely. The young man deemed it too plain. Zhao Zhao pulled out a jasmine white dress. Before she could ask, Xiao Yi coldly said 3 words, "Like funeral clothes." He froze. Then she pouted and grumbled, "Second brother, with such poor taste, you'll never find a wife." After saying this, she gathered up the clothes and strode away. With a deep smile, he took a breath of the lingering lotus fragrance in the air, which faded moments later. Shi Yan was a highly educated and skilled dark guard. He took out a rectangular pen box from the drawer, tossed it to Shi Yan, telling him to be Zhao Zhao's study companion and give her the box. Zhao Shi Yan nervously caught the box steadily. This was the master's prized brush that cost 10,000 taels from the ghost market, formerly owned by the previous dynasty's imperial concubine Yang. Even more surprising was that the master, worried about the young lady being bullied, had sent himself away. Shi Yan, just as he was about to protest, Xiao Yi shot him an icy glare. He immediately accepted the order proudly and boldly. The young lady was only starting school at age 12. That annoying brother gave her a brush worth 10,000 taels, and worried about her being bullied, sent a skilled guard as her study companion, because brother knew that she was going to the school funded by the Nan family. And Nan Yan, the daughter from outside, happened to study there too. Who would have thought that delicate she would get into a fight over brother's gifted brush? Early in the morning, Zhao Zhao and cousin Nan Baozu sat in the front row, looking at the study companion second brother sent. She couldn't help but curve her lips, feeling sweet inside. Soon, she saw Nan Yan approaching, surrounded by a group of girls. Zhao Zhao immediately recognized them as the lazy branch members of the Nan family. In her previous life, they only kicked the Nan family when they were down and divided the property. Now hearing that Nan Yan might become the Nan family's legitimate daughter, they all rushed to curry favor. Zhao Zhao is just an ignorant fool who's never been to school. She'll eventually be trampled under our Yanner's feet. Among them, the sycophant Nan Xiaochen, after taking her seat, wanted to please Nan Yan by teaching the newcomers in the front row a lesson. So, she deliberately jabbed Zhao Zhao's back hard with her brush. The young lady instinctively turned around, revealing her fair and delicate face, like a lotus emerging from water, so beautiful that it made Nan Xiaochen terribly jealous. "The person beside me is the third young lady of the Nan family. Where are you two from?" Quickly state your family names. Her arrogant tone showed she clearly hadn't recognized Zhao Zhao. Zhao Zhao observed Nan Yan's indifferent expression and knew she was playing her favorite game of letting others do her dirty work. She suddenly had an idea and mischievously replied, "So what if you're from the Nan family? You're so fierce. We don't want to play with you anyway." This indeed provoked Nan Xiaochen, who climbed onto the desk like a market shrew and snatched Zhao Zhao's textbook, then furiously tore it to pieces. At this point, Zhao Zhao and Nan Baozu were still holding back their anger, stepping slightly backward, until Nan Xiaochen turned her attention to the front row. She suddenly lunged forward and grabbed the brush from the desk. Zhao Zhao panicked. This was the brush second brother had given her, but Nan Xiaochen forcefully broke it before Zhao Zhao could stop her. "Now you've seen what we're capable of. If you two kneel and kowtow to Yanner, begging for mercy, and serve her as slaves in the academy from now on, we'll let you off." Nan Baozu, never having suffered such humiliation, rolled up her sleeves and charged forward. She cleanly slapped Nan Xiaochen twice across the face. Nan Xiaochen was stunned, unable to believe someone dared to hit her. A young lady of the Nan family. "I don't care who you are. Dare to bully Zhao Zhao and I'll hit you," she shouted, delivering 2 more hard slaps. Nan Xiaochen, never having been treated this way, screamed and charged forward. The 2 young girls broke into a full fight in the classroom. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhao wiped tears from her eyes. Whether in her past life or this one, Tang Jia always protected her like this, but in this life, it was her turn to protect Tang Jia. She suddenly burst with unprecedented courage. Swinging her small fists, she recklessly charged into the fighting crowd. The room descended into chaos. Shi Yan trembled in fear, worried something might happen to Zhao Zhao. Unable to intervene directly, he could only hurry to the boys' school to find the dormitory supervisor. At that time, Xiao Yi was carelessly listening to the teacher's lecture. Hearing Shi Yan suddenly burst in, panting and shouting, "Women and petty men are hard to deal with, young ladies are even harder." Everyone stared at him blankly, confused. Terrible news. A fight broke out in the back courtyard. Everyone was shocked. The young ladies were actually competing over whose brother was more impressive. It started when Nan Xiaochen from the Nan family's branch, trying to curry favor with Nan Yan, actually dared to bully Zhao Zhao, the Nan family's legitimate daughter. Not only did she break the 1,000-tail brush Xiao Yi gave as a school opening gift, but she also fought with Nan Baozu, who was defending Zhao Zhao. Even the good-tempered young lady couldn't take it anymore and joined the 2-against-1 fight. Soon Xiao Yi heard the news and worried Zhao Zhao might be at a disadvantage. He rushed over, but by the time he arrived, the 2 groups had already been separated. Fortunately, his little girl only had minor injuries on her face, nothing serious, but the other side was much worse off, with bruised faces and lying on the ground wailing. The young man secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He lazily sat down in a chair nearby. At this moment, Nan Xiaochen had run to her brother, crying about how Zhao Zhao and others bullied her. However, Nan Yang didn't even glance at his sister. Instead, looking at his love interest, he saw Nan Yan's beautiful face full of helplessness and fear. His protective instincts instantly surged. He shouted masculinely, "What a disgrace to cause such chaos." Zhao Zhao immediately argued defiantly, saying his sister was the first to bully others. But Nan Yang, unwilling to lose face in front of his love interest, directly took an overbearing attitude. Without asking anything, he decided Zhao Zhao was lying and demanded she bring her family elders to kowtow and apologize. The little girl angrily pursed her lips, coldly snorting in her heart, "In this world, who doesn't have a brother?" Suddenly, her tears burst forth pitifully. Pouting, she rushed towards Xiao Yi. She weakly called out, "Second brother," and the young man was stunned, thinking he'd have to step in again. Then, with a slight smirk, Xiao Yi asked, "Young Master Nan, do you want me to kowtow and apologize to you? Or do you want the old madam to kowtow and apologize to you?" Everyone was shocked. Xiao Yi was now quite favored by the old madam. If he was her second brother, then she must be Zhao Zhao, the legitimate daughter of the Nan family. The Nan siblings suddenly realized this, their faces turning ashen with terror. Nan Xiaochen's pig-like beaten face turned even more livid. She resented Nan Yan for knowing their identities but saying nothing. However, Nan Yan stepped forward, playing the role of a gracious mediator, saying, "It's just sisters playing around. Xiaochen, though you were beaten, if you apologize, it will all be over." Nan Xiaochen immediately understood and rushed forward. She deliberately exposed the wounds on her arms, kneeling before Zhao Zhao, crying and apologizing, looking pitiful. as if she was the victim being forced to apologize. The watching young men couldn't bear it and urged the little girl to be magnanimous. Forced into this situation, Zhao Zhao felt anger rising to her head. She was about to argue her case. Xiao Yi suddenly ordered Shi Yan to pick up the broken brush pieces from the ground to show everyone. It was the previous dynasty's imperial concubine Zhang's floral brush, worth 12,000 taels. What sisters would destroy such a precious item during play? The room fell into deafening silence. Compared to his sister's face, clearly their family's 2 years' worth of expenses was more important. So, Nan Yang gave Nan Xiaochen a hard slap right there, as a way to settle things with Zhao Zhao. After all, the Nan family wasn't short of money. Hoping this matter could end here, how could someone break things and not compensate? Moreover, Nan Xiaochen's family could afford it. Therefore, Nan Baozu refused to stay silent anymore. She suddenly rushed out, crying, "Cousin Zhao Zhao, I quit studying. I'm going home to tell mother." The Nan Xiaochen siblings finally experienced despair, realizing they had offended even the legitimate daughter of the Nan family's main branch. Both siblings fainted simultaneously. In the carriage returning home, Zhao Zhao curled up sadly in the corner, occasionally stealing glances at the expressionless young man. "I didn't know the brush second brother gave me was so valuable. If I had known, I wouldn't have brought it to school." However, Xiao Yi didn't mind. He beckoned to the little girl with his finger, and she immediately scurried over. However, Xiao Yi pinched her injured cheek. It was fine until touched, but once touched, she immediately yelped in pain. From the young man's dark eyes, she seemed to read a hint of disbelief. How could the cold-hearted future imperial tutor spoil her? Only by playing the role of sister for a very long time could she touch her brother's heart. "Second brother, if I become ugly, will you stop caring about me?" The little girl's sudden closeness, bringing a sweet lotus fragrance, made the young man stiffen. He could only lean away, saying, "As if I care much about you now." He secretly rolled his eyes, cursing in his mind that the future imperial tutor was truly unlikable. Soon after, Xiao Yi noticed the wounds on the little girl's wrist. Without a word, he grabbed her wrist and rolled up her sleeve. Her originally fair and delicate arm was covered in injuries from the fight. The young man expressionlessly took out a medicine jar. He applied it bit by bit to her wounds. His movements weren't gentle at all, making her cry out in pain. Who told the bullied little girl to be so cute? The delicate little princess actually wanted to transform into a talented lady. She even developed a comprehensive quick learning method. That was playing the zither, playing chess, painting, and reciting books simultaneously, a four-pronged, all-around approach. As a result, in her hurry, she spilled a plate of paint on her head. Earlier that day at the clan school, Xiao Yi stood up for the bullied Zhao Zhao. He demanded compensation from the Nan siblings for breaking the brush, no less than 12,000 taels. Unexpectedly, just as Zhao Zhao returned to the Nan residence, Madame Wen, the Nan siblings' mother, followed closely behind to pay a visit. Upon seeing the little girl, her attitude was even warmer than towards her own daughter. But Zhao Zhao ignored her. Instead, she rushed to old Madame Nan's side. "Grandmother, your granddaughter caused big trouble at school today." The old madam was too worried to even think about scolding her. She naturally directed her anger at the ungrateful Madame Wen. "Our family has always treated your entire family well, and this is how you repay us, by hurting my granddaughter." Madame Wen first smiled apologetically, pushing all responsibility onto Nan Yan. Seeing that she couldn't fool the old madam, she tried to use a woman's reputation to pressure the foolish Zhao Zhao, since she still had a marriage agreement with the Cheng family's son and surely wouldn't want to ruin her reputation. However, what they didn't know was that Zhao Zhao was reborn. In her previous life, she had already seen through her fiancé's true nature. After being reborn, she couldn't wait to break off the engagement. Therefore, she didn't care about the marriage agreement at all. "Grandmother, when others harm me, do I not even have the right to seek justice?" The little girl's injured face was full of timidity and innocence. Seeing this, the old madam's anger grew stronger. With a stern face, she ordered Madame Wen to compensate 12,000 taels for the broken brush before considering the matter settled. Suddenly, a cheerful female voice came from outside the hall. Looking towards the sound, they saw Nan Baozu holding a stack of account books. Following Second Aunt Zhang came from an escort agency family, carrying the natural authority of a bandit leader. She threw the account books on the table next to Madame Wen, hands on her hips, full of dominance. "While your husband was the manager at the Nan residence, he gradually embezzled 100,000 taels. Now return it all. Otherwise, we'll settle this at the government office." Nan Baozu parroted like a bird. Return it all. Madame Wen was already suffocating at the thought of paying 12,000 taels. Now hearing the astronomical figure of 100,000 taels, she couldn't believe that the Nan family would be so heartless to their own relatives. But second aunt raised her sharp eyebrow. Look what state your children left Zhao Zhao and Baozu in. Yet you dare speak of being relatives? From now on, the Nan family no longer has relatives like you. Nan Baozu happily made a face behind her. No longer has relatives like you. Second aunt's decisive handling perfectly matched old madam's wishes, so the old madam simply agreed. The two little ones were overjoyed, genuinely admiring second aunt. After Madame Wen left, Zhao Zhao apologetically held second aunt's hand. Second aunt, I was wrong. I insisted on going to school and got cousin involved in the fight. But second aunt instead told the little girl that next time she fights, let Nan Baozu charge forward and run as far as she can. Zhao Zhao's nose instantly tingled. She hugged second aunt and burst into tears. How foolish was she in her previous life to not be close to such a wonderful aunt. Second aunt smiled and patted the little girl's head, comforting her not to cry. If she really wanted to participate in the flower festival, the Nan family would invite the best masters to teach at home. Early the next morning, an incredible scene appeared in the garden of Chaowen Yuan. Zhao Zhao sat obediently in the courtyard, watching four masters simultaneously playing zither, reciting poems, playing chess, and writing. Xiao Yi's mouth twitched, wondering what this little girl was up to now. Shi Pu, who had been watching the spectacle from a tree all morning, replied that the young lady said human potential needs stimulation, and she planned to stimulate herself intensely. Whether this could unlock potential was unknown, but it would certainly drive someone mad. Zhao Zhao suddenly stood up, randomly plucking at the zither, then frantically made a chess move. This was the little girl's all-round rapid learning method that she had thought about all night. Playing zither while playing chess, painting while reciting books, attacking from all four directions at once, reaching everywhere. Finally, in her panic, she knocked over a pallet of paint onto her head. Overnight, the little girl had completely changed from her unscholarly ways. Gone was her countless arrogant and domineering behaviors. Not only did she humble herself to please the lowly Yangzi in the household, but she even created her own all-round rapid learning method. Determined to master all four arts, zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting, simultaneously. But in her hurry, she knocked over a pallet of paint onto her head, making herself a laughingstock. Thoroughly embarrassed, freshly bathed Zhao Zhao hugged her pillow dejectedly, determined not to see anyone. Even Xiao Yi, whom she usually tried to please, was blocked at the door by the maid. However, Xiao Yi snatched the towel from the maid's hand. He pushed the door open without hesitation. He threw the towel directly at her, landing perfectly on the little girl's head. With just the right amount of force, he ordered her to get up, but Zhao Zhao shook her head glumly, refusing to get up like a child throwing a tantrum. Left with no choice, Xiao Yi had to hold her shoulders, forcing her to face him, his face expressionless, but his hands were gentle as he dried the little girl's wet hair. Finally, he couldn't help but ask what had been on his mind for days. You've been acting very strange lately. You used to bully others, refuse to study, and act arrogantly, truly despised by everyone. But now you've stopped bullying the weak and become diligent in your studies. Zhao Zhao's breath caught. After a moment of silence, she slowly replied. She said she had a long dream where the Nan family was ruined, and she didn't end up well either. So after waking up, she decided to work hard to prevent the dream from becoming reality. The young man was stunned and asked what Nan Yan was like in the dream. The delicate young girl suddenly burst with intense hatred. With reddened eyes, she shouted that he was heartless and ungrateful. I hate him the most. I want to outdo him. Everything he wants, I'll take it away. Xiao Yi curled his lips playfully. Then what was I like in your dream? What will second brother become? Before he could finish, the little girl realized the young man was trying to get her to reveal her true thoughts. She quickly covered her mouth, but it was too late. In your dream, I must have been terrible for you to try so hard to please me now. Xiao Yi's expression suddenly turned cold. It was replaced by an indescribable eeriness. The young man pinched her fair cheek in anger, but couldn't bring himself to use too much force. The little girl instantly panicked. Large tears rolled down her cheeks. If she started trying to please second brother, it was indeed because of his future achievements. But after getting to know him, she found that second brother was not only clever but also very kind to her. He helped buy Lu Shi's contract of servitude, and gave her such expensive brushes for school. Now she genuinely admired second brother from the bottom of her heart. As she spoke these words, she kept shrinking into the corner, curled up helplessly in the corner like a small quail, appearing completely vulnerable to bullying. Xiao Yi suddenly leaned forward, trapping her in the corner of the bed. Do you want my protection? Do you want to defeat Nan Yan at the flower festival? The little girl nodded repeatedly like a pestle. After sniffing the lotus fragrance on her, the young man said deliberately, then continue to please me. Then he threw a set of Confucian robes at her. Zhao Zhao stared blankly at the robes in her arms. It took a while before she realized that second brother was accepting her as his sister. Soon after, properly dressed, Zhao Zhao ran into the study room with her books, still wearing the red headband with the word diligent written on it. Second brother, I've thought carefully. If I just go through the famous quotes from the 4 books and 5 classics, I'll have enough for the competition. Can you help me highlight the important parts? But Xiao Yi handed her a newly written study schedule, telling her to follow it daily from now on. Zhao Zhao trembled all over, breaking into a cold sweat. She took the schedule with a forced smile. Second brother, your schedule is wrong. It seems I can only sleep for 3 hours. However, Xiao Yi glanced at her indifferently. What do you think rising at cockcrow means? The little girl was instantly deflated. The reborn little girl finally confessed to her disliked brother. Her sudden attempt to please him was to gain favor with his future immense power. But unexpectedly, she gained her brother's approval. She thought she was about to welcome happy days. However, what awaited her was a suffocating study schedule. Wake up at 5 a.m. Then recite the 4 books and 5 classics for 6 hours. At 3 p.m., study the zither, 6 hours. Then at 7 p.m. study painting, 3 hours. Then at 9 p.m. study chess for 3 hours. Heavens, a growing young girl getting less than 6 hours of sleep. But that wasn't all. Zhao Zhao stood by the window holding her books, internally complaining about how the entire book seemed to be highlighted as important. Suddenly, a paper ball hit the back of her head. She turned around with puffed cheeks. The young man told her to read aloud. Her little face scrunched up, but she reluctantly started reading in a small voice. The next second, she was hit by another paper ball on the back of her head. This time, Xiao Yi demanded with a half-smile that she speak louder. Several ready-made paper balls sat on the table, seemingly prepared for sudden attacks. Zhao Zhao's cheeks trembled with anger. Finally giving up, she shouted at the top of her lungs. She read at high volume all morning until her voice was nearly hoarse. Finally, it was time for lunch. She couldn't help but tearfully complain to the maid that second brother must be taking revenge on her. While complaining, the sharp-eyed maid immediately spotted a young doctor standing at the doorway. She kept making eye signals, but the girl just lowered her head to eat. She didn't notice the maid's coughing and gesturing. Very well. Not only did she not notice, but after taking a bite of vegetables, she continued rambling. He's vindictive, narrow-minded, and sometimes even a bit perverted. No girl will ever like him this way. He's destined to never find a wife and die alone. After finishing her satisfying rant, Zhao Zhao finally looked up and noticed the maid's strange expression. Suddenly she felt a chill down her spine. Instinctively, she turned around. There stood Xiao Yi, who had appeared out of nowhere, staring at her coldly. She was startled and was about to get up to hide behind the maid. However, the maid had already fled first. Zhao Zhao could only nervously peek at the young man sitting across from her. He calmly took away her lunch and chopsticks. Then using her chopsticks, he picked up her favorite dish, casually reminding her that lunchtime was over and it was time to practice the zither. But I haven't eaten yet. Zhao Zhao had barely spoken when she immediately received a sharp glare from the young man. In the afternoon, Old Master was enthusiastically teaching about commerce. While discussing controversies, Zhao Zhao didn't absorb a single word, muttering in her heart that studying on an empty stomach was painful. Second brother was clearly taking revenge. After Old Master finished his explanation and kindly asked if she understood, Zhao Zhao finally came to. Blinking her sincere big eyes, she honestly replied, no. Angered, Old Master burst into his hometown dialect. Girl, this old man has explained it 10 times. This child is too stupid. I quit teaching. With Old Master gone angry, there would be no one to teach. No teacher meant vacation. Zhao Zhao pushed away the gukin with relief. Second brother, since the teacher ran away, can we take the afternoon off? Xiao Yi looked at the little girl whose laziness had rekindled. The whole city knows about your bold claim to win first place at the flower festival. If you don't work hard, your elders will be mocked and never be able to hold their heads high again. And those Xiao family members you hate will become even more aggressive in approaching you. The flower festival is just a small hurdle. If you can't even overcome this, how will you stand up to protect the boy you care about? This was the first time the usually cold-natured young man had spoken so much. Zhao Zhao was thunderstruck and suddenly came to her senses. Tears welled up in her eyes. After a moment of stunned silence, she suddenly grabbed the hem of his clothes. With a choked voice, she pleaded, "Second brother, I know I was wrong. I will definitely work hard, but I made the teacher run away. Who will teach me to play the zither?" However, Xiao Yi said he would teach her himself. The young man sat behind the little girl, his well-defined hands resting on the back of hers. In this position, it was as if the little girl was nestled in the young man's embrace. As their fingers plucked the strings, the melody flowed like water from high mountains. While Zhao Zhao studied with full concentration, Xiao Yi gradually became distracted, a faint blush slowly appearing on his cheeks. At 18, the young man had his first different thoughts about the opposite sex, wanting to pinch her little face, wanting to kiss her, even his most familiar piece. He played several wrong notes in succession. Zhao Zhao looked up at him puzzled. Xiao Yi hurriedly looked up at the sky guiltily. Composing himself, he explained seriously, "You're too stupid. You played it wrong." Zhao Zhao was speechless, wanting to bonk the future imperial master on the head. The reborn little girl finally gained the approval of her once disliked brother. She could contentedly be his sister. Yet suddenly, he no longer wanted to be just a brother. He wanted to hear the little girl sweetly call him second brother. He wanted to kiss the little girl's delicate face, not as a brother, but as a man. The cold and indifferent young man, for the first time in his life, he couldn't face his own heart like this. The next day, beauty-loving Zhao Zhao didn't even have breakfast to make a beautiful double braid, just hugged the wheelchair to send. Suddenly, little cousin Nan Baozu ran excitedly to the window carrying sugar cakes. "I heard you've been studying hard lately, so I brought you some sugar cakes." At the sight of food, Zhao Zhao's eyes immediately lit up. These sugar cakes came at just the right time. She munched one piece after another with her little mouth. These days she's been studying from dawn to dusk. She had no idea what was happening outside until her cousin mentioned it. After that day, Nan Xiaochen's family went to confront Nan Yan. They say they completely wrecked the courtyard they were renting. Although Nan Guang wasn't a qualified father, when hearing the news, Zhao Zhao still couldn't help but worry about her father. Little cousin shook her head, then took out a handkerchief to wipe the crumbs from her mouth corners. "Zhao Zhao, you're eating so urgently. Are you starving? Xiao Yi is too harsh on you. Is he not even letting you eat enough?" Little cousin complained indignantly non-stop. She completely failed to hear the soft footsteps behind her, but Zhao Zhao could see Xiao Yi. She nervously blinked and waved, trying to stop her from continuing. "Very well. This time it's little cousin's turn to fearlessly ramble on. I remember you used to curse her, saying she was cold and deep, like a snake lurking in the corner. And you were the snake-catching cat who would teach her a lesson sooner or later." Zhao Zhao pouted and was about to cry, looking completely hopeless. Little cousin finally felt the chill behind her, so she instinctively turned around. Her ears immediately stood up in fright. Feeling guilty, she told Zhao Zhao to study well and listen to second brother, then ran away like the wind, leaving Zhao Zhao alone to face the young man's terrifying dark expression. Weak and helpless, she silently prayed that second brother hadn't heard or would instantly forget everything. However, Xiao Yi had always been special towards Zhao Zhao, especially good at holding grudges and especially fond of scaring her. So he approached step by step until his tall figure completely overshadowed the little girl. The trembling little girl suddenly had an idea, respectfully and flatteringly presenting her book with both hands. "Second brother, I was wrong. Please be magnanimous. I've already memorized 1/10 of the analects. Would you like to check?" Obviously, the little girl's tactic worked quite well. His expression visibly changed from gloomy to bright. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the study. Nan Guang was shouting anxiously and stingily, demanding his unfilial daughter Zhao Zhao to come out. "Third uncle, if you have anything to say, just ask me." A cold and indifferent voice suddenly rang out. Xiao Yi appeared holding a folding fan, elegant and dignified, but his deep eyes were filled with frightening meaning. After not seeing him for days, the lowly Yongzi actually had such a powerful presence. Nan Guang was suddenly startled and swallowed hard, while Nan Yan, bruised and swollen, lying on a stretcher, still didn't forget to attack. This time he was beaten so badly by Nan Xiaochen's family, and wanted Zhao Zhao to give up half of her dowry as compensation. Having made up his mind, his pitiful tears fell on command, appearing as fragile as if a breeze could knock him over. Nan Guang's fatherly love suddenly overflowed, his protective instincts exploding. He grabbed a nearby staff and pointed it at Xiao Yi. "This is our Nan family's business. If you don't hand over Zhao Zhao, I'll have people force their way in." However, Xiao Yi snapped open his fan with a paw sound, blocking Nan Guang's path. His thin lips sneered contemptuously, threatening in an icy tone that third uncle could try. After her rebirth, the little girl could finally be at peace as brother's sister. However, brother suddenly didn't want to be just a brother anymore. He didn't want the little girl to marry another man. He wanted to be strong enough to keep the little girl under his wing forever. During the day, Nan Guang actually came to fight for his illegitimate daughter. Without a word, Xiao Yi once again stepped in to shield Zhao Zhao. Nan Guang was instantly suppressed by the young man's powerful presence. He immediately shifted his attack to Zhao Zhao. "Zhao Zhao, causing trouble in Zhu Shui is one thing, but blaming it on your sister? You truly are motherless. Mind your words." Third uncle, Xiao Yi immediately interrupted sternly. He knew the little girl was most sensitive about relationships. If she heard this, she would surely cry inside. Sure enough, Zhao Zhao crouched in the corner, quietly listening to her birth father's curses, tears dropping onto the carpet. Having finally stopped crying, she forced a stiff smile and walked out gracefully. She calmly recounted the events of that day at Zhu Shui. After listening, Nan Guang stared blankly at Nan Yan, who lowered his voice to remind him of their purpose. Only then did Nan Guang remember, putting on an act. "My daughter, I'm dying. What does the book say?" As parents command, unable to remember the rest of the phrase about parental commands, he could only secretly glance at Dan Jia. Nan Yan was speechless. After teaching it so many times, he still had to step in himself. The standards for students says, when parents teach, listen respectfully. You must obey. Father is angry today because of your unfilial behavior. As a daughter, you have the obligation to support your father. You should give your dowry for father to enjoy. Zhao Zhao felt both angry and amused. They spoke as if they were so noble, but in the end, it was all about money. Anyone can play the moral card. Zhao Zhao turned to condemn Nan Yan as the most unfilial person, deliberately driving a wedge between father and grandmother, wandering outside, ruining father's reputation for filial piety. Nan Yan panicked immediately, not for father's sake, but fearing that bearing the crime of being unfilial would prevent her from becoming an official's wife. She hurriedly grabbed Nan Guang's sleeve while crying, defending herself. The easily swayed Nan Guang, seeing his daughter's tears, became completely confused and instead scolded Zhao Zhao for bullying her sister. The scolded Zhao Zhao's eyes stung with anger. In this world, what real sister would instigate their father to steal their younger sister's dowry? Don't they know that stealing a daughter's dowry would bring shame? Father was completely deceived, but she had to make things clear today. Father either apologizes to grandmother now, or leaves and never returns to the mansion. Beside her, Xiao Yi's thin lips were tightly pressed, watching the stubborn little girl with eyes full of distress. Zhao Zhao was still waiting for father's answer when suddenly her vision went black, and she swayed, falling toward the ground. Xiao Yi hurriedly tossed aside his folding fan, steadily catching the little girl in his arms. Soon, old Madame Nan heard about Zhao Zhao's fainting and rushed over anxiously. She directed all her anger at Xiao Yi. "Zhao Zhao is weak, yet you force her to study early in the morning, not even letting her eat. Isn't this abuse?" However, the young man coldly countered, "Is excessive pampering really good? Why arrange a marriage between Zhao Zhao and the Cheng family? Would they truly accept Zhao Zhao, who knows nothing?" The old madam laughed coldly. She understood these principles Xiao Yi spoke of, but her own sons were useless, couldn't even become scholars. Suddenly, as if remembering something, the old madam looked at the young man in disbelief. Xiao Yi's eyes blazed as he declared powerfully, "Use the family's vast wealth and Shu County connections to pave a golden path for me. Stake the Nan family's prosperity on it." The 18-year-old youth was like a sword hidden in its sheath, just waiting for the moment to be drawn. His brilliance would surely shine forth, making his name known throughout the land. After the old madam left, Xiao Yi entered the bedroom. Zhao Zhao, who had already awakened, had just heard their conversation. her eyes sparkling with excitement. The young man remained characteristically cool, carefully cooling the bird's nest soup before bringing it to the little girl's lips. The starving Zhao Zhao took a big, satisfying sip. I believe second brother can do it, betting the entire family's fate for eternal glory. Seeing the young man scoop up another spoonful of bird's nest soup, but eating it himself, the little girl puffed her cheeks, quickly stopping Xiao Yi from stealing food, looking adorably naive. As for Nan Guang, that worthless father, he was being punished by kneeling in the ancestral hall. Zhao Zhao's mood improved immediately. Though father often couldn't think straight, he still had a good heart. What the young man didn't say was that the condition for Nan Guang to stay in the mansion was for the old madam to provide 3,000 taels for his external expenses. Seeing her spirits lifted, Xiao Yi patted her head, thinking he might as well treat the little girl as half a daughter. Suddenly he said, "You've rested enough. Time to get up and study." The little girl only wanted to gain her bad brother's love, not knowing that brother wanted to be her strict father. Conducting a devil's training, 6 hours daily reciting the 4 books and 5 classics, 6 hours learning the zither, 3 hours learning painting, 3 hours learning chess, day after day. Before they knew it, the annual flower festival arrived, attracting various high officials and noble ladies to attend, including Madame Cheng, Zhao Zhao's mother-in-law from her previous life, who was quite dissatisfied with Zhao Zhao's participation in the ceremony. She thought, a good-for-nothing like her would only make us a laughingstock. On the contrary, Nan Yan, in both appearance and talents, would bring more face than that useless Zhao Zhao. The only pity was Nan Yan's humble birth, otherwise, she would have already discussed switching the engagement with the Nan family. Nan Yan, who arrived first, maintained a gentle and dignified demeanor with a smile. After the recent misfortune with the foot-binding incident, today she wanted not only to wash away her bad luck but also establish her reputation as a talented lady, paving her way to become an official's wife. Soon, Zhao Zhao made a stunning appearance at the gathering. The little girl specially wore a newly made dress today, with a slender figure and skin as white as jade, like a lotus flower about to bloom. Her childish hairstyle was changed to a yuanbao bun, adding a touch of girlish charm. Her striking beauty not only drew admiring praise from everyone, but also made Nan Yan's face darken extremely. She scoffed inwardly that the higher one rises, the harder they fall. Madame Cheng cast a disdainful glance at the little girl. Pondering for a moment, she ordered her maid to invite both Zhao Zhao and Nan Yan over. Both young ladies came and respectfully curtsied to Madame Cheng, but Madame Cheng only smiled warmly at Nan Yan. She even kindly removed the bracelet from her wrist, saying, "This bracelet was given to me by Dayu's grandmother when I married into the family. You're young, it looks better on you. When Dayu returns, you must come visit our mansion more often." At these suggestive words, Nan Yan's face reddened with excitement. "Thank you, Madame Chen. I'll perform my best in the competition and surely win first place." She joyfully put on the bracelet immediately, showing it off in front of Zhao Zhao. She pretended to worry and asked Zhao Zhao if, as Dayu's fiancé, she would mind. Zhao Zhao naturally didn't mind. She wanted to see how this life's scumbag and green tea would show their love. The competition began. According to the rules, young ladies must first answer a threshold question to qualify for participation. The threshold questions were drawn from bamboo tubes. In her previous life, Zhao Zhao was urged by Nan Yan to compete, hoping to impress Madame Cheng and gain her favor, but she couldn't even answer the simple threshold question. From then on, she became the laughingstock of the entire city, known to all as a useless good-for-nothing. However, in this life, she had made the greatest effort, yet ironically, she drew the most difficult question, one that ordinary young ladies couldn't answer. Nan Yan was secretly pleased. The old Madame Nan's face was full of worry. It seemed everyone was waiting for her to embarrass herself. Only Xiao Yi's thin lips curved slightly, showing complete confidence in the little girl. The little good-for-nothing finally saw the results of her efforts under her annoying brother's devil training. For the flower festival's threshold question, Zhao Zhao happened to draw the most difficult one. Explain, if one hears the way in the morning, one can die content in the evening. The examiner looked regretfully at the little girl with her head lowered. It was known that this question wasn't one that young ladies could answer. Being extremely profound, gloating, Nan Yan declared that Zhao Zhao definitely couldn't answer it, while deliberately showing off her own knowledge. Actually, this phrase means, if one understands the truth in the morning, it doesn't matter if one dies in the evening, she said, glancing at Madame Cheng. She saw Madame Cheng looking back at her with approval, like viewing her own proud daughter-in-law. The old Madame Nan had no time for their schemes, only worried that Zhao Zhao would feel ashamed if she couldn't answer. Among all the spectators, only Xiao Yi had complete confidence in the little girl. In the arena, Zhao Zhao excitedly clenched her little fists. Second brother had taught her this question on her first day at Zhao Wen Academy. Was this heaven rewarding her diligence, or was second brother her lucky star? After composing herself, she answered loudly, understanding the truth in the morning and being content to die in the evening. This is just the literal meaning, but in reality, the purpose of learning isn't just for understanding, it's for putting knowledge into practice. Like those patriotic heroes who sacrifice their lives for their country and people, that is the true meaning of hearing the way in the morning and dying content in the evening. Her clear pronunciation and profound explanation earned applause from the scholars present, who praised her excellent answer. Those waiting to see her fail looked at each other in bewilderment. They couldn't believe that the Nan family's good-for-nothing could answer so well. Amidst the discussions, Zhao Zhao playfully winked at the young man, and Xiao Yi, for the first time, showed a gentle expression, with a strange feeling spreading in his heart. Where some rejoiced, others felt embarrassed. Nan Yan, who had shown off earlier, hadn't answered as well as Zhao Zhao. People around mocked her for overestimating herself. Angered, Nan Yan glared hatefully at the little girl, vowing in her heart to crush her in the following competitions. To add excitement to the competition, everyone placed bets on which young lady would win first place. Nan Yan was the recognized favorite to win, with odds of 3-1, while Zhao Zhao's odds were 2-1. Madame Cheng unhesitatingly bet 1.000 taels on Nan Yan. Then she looked at old Madame Nan and said mockingly, Zhao Zhao has always been stupid. I'm afraid she'll lose badly later. Old Madam, take my advice when Nan Yan wins. How dare she insult her precious granddaughter to her face? The old madam couldn't tolerate this slight. She immediately had her maid place a bet of 10.000 taels on Zhao Zhao. The bookkeeper servant cheerfully announced, Old Madam Nan bets 10.000 taels. Odds for Miss Nan 5 are 20-1. Similarly indignant, second aunt bet 10.000 taels. Tang Jian and Bao Zhu also placed 2.000 taels on Zhao Zhao. Though Xiao Yi was late and wasn't the first to bet on Zhao Zhao, he stubbornly wanted to become the little girl's strongest supporter. He grandly threw down 20.000 taels on his little girl. Only Nan Guang, facing murderous glares from his entire family, stingily bet his last 2 taels on Nan Yan. In the competition arena, Nan Yan followed Zhao Zhao, trying to find out how many events she had entered. After all, she had entered 4 events to maintain her talented lady reputation. If Zhao Zhao had also entered 4, she was confident she could completely crush her. Zhao Zhao didn't reply, instead smiling and praising, Sister, your showing off looks just like a peacock displaying its feathers, like a peacock's mating display. Amid the laughter of surrounding young ladies, Nan Yan's face turned red with embarrassment. She had been the laughingstock, known as useless. Who would have thought she would shine in the snow-stepping competition, winning the city's acclaim and recognition? The flower festival competition officially began. In the first round of artistic performance, Zhao Zhao and Nan Yan were placed in the same group. Nan Yan wanted the little girl to play the same piece as her. This way everyone could hear their vastly different skill levels. Zhao Zhao didn't fall for it and directly refused. As the competition began, Nan Yan confidently plucked the strings first. The music flowed like water, quite spectacular. This was a piece about a palace lady's grievances, sorrowful and plaintive, moving people to sadness. Suddenly, it was overwhelmed by a more magnificent sound. Zhao Zhao's hands moved swiftly across the strings, fast as rushing water. Over the past 20 days, she had practiced only this one piece, practicing until her fingers were covered in countless blisters, finally producing such powerful music today, expressing desperation and unwillingness. In her previous life, the Nan family was framed and their property confiscated because of their wealth. She still clearly remembered that feeling of isolation and being surrounded by enemies. In this life, She would stand up and protect the Nan family at all costs. The name of this piece was Surrounded by Chusongs. The military momentum completely overwhelmed Nan Yan's flowing melody. Nan Yan suddenly panicked. In her panic, she broke a string. The outcome of this round was decided. From her seat, Madame Cheng couldn't help but frown. The second round was painting, with spring flowers as the theme. To redeem herself, Nan Yan put in her full effort this time. She openly displayed her skill, painting a scene of thousand colors. When her brush stopped, everyone praised her work. It seemed Nan Yan would surely win this round. Only Xiao Yi narrowed his eyes, staring intently at the little girl, whose loose strands of hair framed her delicate, beautiful face. Amid the praise, Nan Yan proudly lifted her chin and cast an intimate glance at the little girl beside her. They saw Zhao Zhao seriously measuring with a wooden ruler as she drew. No one understood what she was doing. Drawing flowers with a ruler? Zhao Zhao finally finished at the last second. The examining official was surprised. There's not a single flower on your paper. I'm afraid you've missed the topic. No matter, sir, please submit it anyway. The little girl smiled sweetly, unconcerned. Among all the competition entries, Nan Yan's colorful flowers stood out the most. In contrast, Zhao Zhao had drawn what appeared to be complex wooden frames. Madame Cheng watched with a satisfied smile. She praised Yanner's talent in front of Lady Lu. I think Yanner might be more suitable than Zhao Zhao. I'm clearly considering Zhan Xin's future. Lady Lu immediately understood and couldn't contain her joy. First place in painting goes to Miss 5 of the Nan family. The sudden announcement echoed through the venue. Lady Lu looked toward the venue in surprise. Nan Yan protested the unfairness, insisting her painting was better. She trembled with anger. Zhao Zhao stepped forward to explain that her drawing was of Nan Jia's new weaving machine. This weaving machine not only increased the pattern's weft thread cycles but also enriched the variety of designs, greatly improving shoe brocade's production efficiency. Our Nan family wishes to share this openly with everyone. I call this loom the Flower Tower Loom. With its essence, may our brocade city bloom with wealth year after year. The little girl's sweet voice rang clear, her bow graceful like a resilient sprout breaking through soil. Xiao Yi stared in amazement, his eyes brimming with tenderness. Actually, Zhao Zhao's purpose was simple. In her previous life, Nan Jia earned fortunes from this loom but was coveted by the powerful. This time, by sharing willingly, she could gain goodwill and prevent Nan Jia from becoming a target, achieving multiple goals at once. Undoubtedly, Nan Yan lost this round completely. Old Madame Nan was moved to tears, exclaiming that their Zhao Zhao had grown up. Nan Baozu couldn't resist making a face at Madame Cheng. My sister is better than Nan Yan in every way. The little rice bag actually won first place in the talent competition. Today's glory seemed to herald the beginning of the little girl's remarkable journey after her rebirth. Just now, after Zhao Zhao won 2 consecutive rounds, for the third round of calligraphy competition, knowing her writing wasn't presentable, she simply didn't register. Now she was munching on snacks while watching the women on stage. After all, Nan Yan was young, and with her proud nature, losing twice in a row had broken her composure, even affecting her writing. As expected, Nan Yan lost. Amid the crowd's mockery, she blushed with extreme embarrassment. Meanwhile, Zhao Zhao happily continued eating and watching, thinking, if sister's writing isn't good, she shouldn't have registered, not only wasting ink but also losing face. Soon came the final round of chess. Below the stage, Lady Lu wasn't idle. Seeing that Madame Cheng clearly had thoughts of changing the engagement, now she had to strike while the iron was hot. Praising her daughter more, Yanner is young. It's normal to perform poorly sometimes, but don't worry, Madame Cheng, she won't disappoint you in this round. On stage, Zhao Zhao was again paired against her nemesis Nan Yan. Speaking of chess, that was Nan Yan's specialty. When playing chess with her brother at home, she had never lost. She was completely confident in winning. This little wretch who made it here through tricks. Halfway through the game, Zhao Zhao suddenly stared at the crisscrossing board, hesitating to make a move. She recalled her second brother's words, chess style reflects the person. Nan Yan's chess style was meticulous, just like how she manipulated people. The black pieces crossed the board like a dark web. Nan Yan grew impatient. If you won't make a move, just admit defeat. Zhao Zhao suddenly smiled calmly. She placed her piece with composure. The situation instantly reversed. The outcome was decided. Miss 5 of the Lan family wins. The little girl politely acknowledged. Lan Yan was stunned. Impossible. How could I lose? At this moment, forgetting all dignity, she angrily flipped over the chessboard. Let's have another match. Compared to Lan Yan's ugly display of poor sportsmanship, Zhao Zhao appeared more graceful. You will always be defeated by me, the little girl said in her sweet voice, yet with dominant authority. The examiner couldn't bear to watch anymore and sternly ordered Yan to step down. At this year's flower festival, Miss Wu of the Nan family won first place. Amid the crowd's cheers, Zhao Zhao excitedly held up her prize box. From now on, the little girl had completely shed her reputation as a useless rice bag. This life was moving along a different path from her previous one. Lady Lu and Madame Cheng's faces turned ashen with anger, while Nan Guangwei wailed heartbrokenly over losing 2 taels of silver. Returning to her seat, Zhao Zhao buried herself in old Madame Nan's embrace, acting coquettishly. She couldn't help it, she was too excited and could hardly believe she had actually won. After a while, she remembered to open the wooden box to see her prize. She planned to give the silver ingots and scholars' supplies to her sisters. As for the lucky coin, she would naturally give it to second brother. Though young, she showed bold moves and decisive action. The old master's granddaughter was indeed extraordinary. A man with an imposing appearance suddenly emerged from the crowd. Sister won first place on stage, shining brilliantly, while her brother earned applause below, dressed in fine clothes on horseback. Today, the young man no longer concealed his brilliance. He wanted to gamble on a promising future, bet on the Nan family's prosperity, and most importantly, bet on his future with the little girl. Just as the flower festival was about to end, General Situ suddenly emerged from the crowd. He warmly greeted old Madame Nan. As it turned out, he had once received her kindness. Years ago, during a famine, while he was serving in the military and unable to care for his wife, children, and mother, it was the Nan family who opened their granaries and saved his entire family's lives. Over the years, he had thought about repaying this debt, but the Nan family was too prominent and eye-catching, making it difficult to approach them. Today, old Madame Nan deliberately brought Yang Zi forward to meet him, likely hoping he would mentor the young man. However, he wanted to test the youth's abilities first, as his ranks didn't accept any incompetent soldiers. Seeing the young man's composed and dignified manner, General Situ couldn't help but show appreciation in his eyes. He immediately summoned about 100 soldiers, challenging the young man to break through their single-file snake formation. This single-file snake formation had remained undefeated until now. This formation had captured countless enemy soldiers on the battlefield. Amid the spectators' discussions, General Situ let Xiao Yi choose 10 people to assist in breaking the formation. However, Xiao Yi had no intention of choosing from these pampered young masters. To break the formation, 2 people would suffice. He calmly called out, "Lan Zhao Zhao, follow me to break the formation." Everyone was shocked. How could the little girl help? They thought the young man was being arrogant. Suddenly hearing her name called, Zhao Zhao was stunned. She looked up at second brother's straight back. For a moment, she felt like she was seeing the imperial teacher from her previous life. With that overwhelming aura of invincibility, while she was still dazed, Xiao Yi pulled her onto the horse, holding her steadily in front of him. Zhao Zhao still didn't understand why second brother chose her. Wasn't he afraid she would hold him back? However, Xiao Yi replied meaningfully, "Only with you by my side do I feel at ease." Then he raised his head, staring firmly ahead at the ever-changing single-file snake formation. "Nan Zhao Zhao, hold on tight." The little girl clutched the lucky coin tightly in her palm, silently praying that second brother would be blessed with good fortune. While others only saw the young man's arrogance, second aunt saw the future of the Nan family. Nan Guang lacked ambition and was indecisive. Elder brother died in battle, and her husband only excelled in business, knowing nothing of official circles. The eldest son was slow-witted, and the younger son was traveling abroad. Counting them all, the Nan family earned fortunes daily, yet no one could protect it. Would the Nan family's future really depend on Xiao Ying? Madame Cheng, still upset about losing silver, took the opportunity to mock Xiao Yi loudly, saying the arrogant youth would face great embarrassment today. Hearing these taunts, Zhao Zhao angrily glared at these viper-like women. The next moment, the youth's casual voice sounded in her ear, "Don't listen, don't think, don't fear. The most powerful response to mockery is to soar high and succeed. Achieve greatness. In an instant, the warhorse appeared like lightning at the formation's head, tail, and middle. Xiao Yi's moves were extremely fierce, grabbing its head and pinching its tail, cutting through its waist. He forcefully broke the entire snake formation. The soldiers were completely routed. Only Xiao Yi stood in the field like a newly unsheathed sword, his presence incredibly sharp. The watching crowd froze in amazement. He had broken the formation so quickly. After a moment of stunned silence, General Situ applauded the youth's exceptional courage. One flower festival fulfilled the destinies of the Nan siblings. One became a talented lady who amazed all. The other became an extraordinarily gifted young man. One flower festival. Brother became the brave young man who conquered the formation. Sister's reputation as a fool transformed into that of a talented lady who amazed all. And the person Zhao Zhao was most grateful to his second brother, who constantly encouraged her. So, she decided to give the lucky coin from her first place prize as a gift to second brother, because the lucky coin symbolized good fortune and peace. However, just as she was about to give it to him, General Situ and others suddenly rushed forward to praise Xiao Yi for breaking the formation. As more people came forward with compliments, the little girl was gradually pushed aside. Zhao Zhao could only hold the lucky coin, watching the youth in the center of the crowd dejectedly, deciding to give it another time. That evening at the Nan residence, Zhao Zhao had a sudden idea to make a necklace with colorful threads for the lucky coin. This way it would be both beautiful and convenient for second brother to wear. What an ordinary little genius she was, but her hands weren't as talented as her mind. After 2 hours of fumbling, she created something unrecognizable. It was so frustrating. She decided it would be better to just give the lucky coin alone, so she simply cut it off with scissors. At dusk, Zhao Zhao waited for a long time at the entrance of Zhaowen Garden, but saw no sign of Xiao Yi returning. Only when Yu Wei passed by did she learn that Xiao Yi was talking with grandmother. She said with a smile, "I want to give the gift to second brother personally. I can wait in the study." But the moment she pushed open the study door, she froze. The previously empty study was now filled with precious and rare treasures. These gifts were all congratulations for Xiao Yi's exceptional promotion to guard commander by General Situ. In comparison, the small lucky coin seemed so ordinary. A sour feeling of disappointment rose in her heart. Thinking about this, her spirits instantly dropped. Like a wilted lotus flower, she waited dejectedly, thinking second brother probably wouldn't care for her little gift. Maybe it's better not to give a gift. Just say thank you and congratulations instead. As she thought about this, she unknowingly fell asleep while waiting dejectedly. Suddenly, hurried footsteps approached. It was Xiao Yi. Upon hearing from Yu Wei that the little girl had been waiting in the study to give him a gift, he quickly made an excuse to return. He immediately spotted a small bundle curled up at the doorway, looking pitiful, so he gently picked up the little bundle and walked towards his chamber. Placed on the bed, the little girl remained asleep, her fair cheeks slightly puffed up in discontent. Xiao Yi sat by the bedside, watching her foolishly, not knowing when she would wake. Suddenly, he gently poked her cheek with his finger. A small dimple immediately appeared on her puffy cheek, looking both cute and amusing. Xiao Yi noticed by chance. The little girl seemed to be holding something in her hand. Just as he was about to open her palm to look, Zhao Zhao opened her eyes drowsily. "Second brother, why did you come back so late? I waited for you for so long." As she spoke, she delicately shed a few tears. Having just woken up, her voice was soft like she was being coquettish. To Xiao Yi, she looked like a young wife waiting for her husband's late return. This illusion made the young man especially gentle tonight. As if comforting a young wife, he said, "I was just talking with grandmother for too long. Yu Wei said you had a gift for me?" Speaking of the gift, she hesitated for a moment, then shyly avoided the young man's gaze. "I won at the flower festival all thanks to second brother's help. This lucky coin is the first place prize. No one else's gifts are as auspicious as mine. You mustn't look down on it." Xiao Yi took the lucky coin and teased with a half smile. "Last year for Nan Baoju's birthday, you gave a mermaid pearl necklace. For grandmother's birthday, you gave a priceless painting of the 8 immortals from the previous dynasty. Even when your fourth brother ranked last at the academy, you gave him a pure gold writing brush. But when it comes to me, it's just a copper coin?" His words made her heart sink. Indeed, the future imperial tutor looked down on her gift. She suddenly felt indignant, pouting and wanting to take back the gift. She could always get a more valuable gift another day. However, while Xiao Yi complained verbally, his hand honestly held the lucky coin tightly. As Zhao Zhao turned to leave, she muttered softly, "You're saying one thing but meaning another. You actually like it." But the next second, She heard the young man's lazy voice from behind. Grandmother plans to think carefully about what gift to give me 3 days later. She turned back in surprise. What? I have to give you another gift? The little girl wanted to prevent her sister from marrying the scoundrel from her previous life, but was misunderstood as trying to steal her sister's marriage fate. The jealous second brother completely darkened, his domineering nature gradually emerging. He actually wanted to cut off his sister's marriage fate and keep her by his side. Tonight, Zhao Zhao finally handed over the lucky coin to second brother. The petty Xiao Yi remained unsatisfied. Greedily, he wanted to become the most important person in the little girl's heart, so he mentioned the grand banquet 3 days later, telling Lan Zhao Zhao to think carefully about what gift to give him. Zhao Zhao, who was about to leave, froze. What? I have to give you another gift? Xiao Yi asked with a hint of authority in his smile. Zhao Zhao immediately became timid. Yes, I'll give. She suddenly remembered that in her previous life, it was on the day of Shen Qianyan that Big Sister and Zhang Yuanawang fell in love. While there was still time, she must find a way to make Big Sister call off the engagement. Thinking this, she looked up with innocent big eyes. Second brother, what kind of person do you think Zhang Yuanawang is? Without hesitation, Xiao Yi replied with 4 words. All appearance, no substance. Then, thinking the little girl might be interested in other men, the young man's eyes instantly darkened. Zhao Zhao racked her brains trying to dig up Zhang Yuanawang's flaws, but in Xiao Yi's eyes, this appeared as the little girl showing interest in Zhang Yuanawang. Xiao Yi became annoyed instantly. Lan Zhao Zhao, instead of thinking about others, you'd better think about what gift to give me. You know the consequences if I'm not satisfied. Zhao Zhao quickly put on an obviously ingratiating smile and agreed. However, she couldn't help but complain inwardly that the future imperial tutor was too moody. After the little girl slipped away, Xiao Yi accidentally discovered a hair ribbon left on the bed. The ribbon still carried the little girl's sweet fragrance. He threaded the lucky coin through the ribbon and carefully tied it around his wrist. 3 days later, everyone set out together towards the suburban restaurant manor. Qian Chu Shui. Among them, Zhao Zhao was dragging along with a melancholic face, still worried about what gift to give Xiao Yi. Suddenly, Zhao Zhao shifted her gaze to Yu Wei in the same carriage, her eyes lighting up. Yu Wei was second brother's personal maid, so she must understand his preferences. So the little girl tactfully asked Yu Wei what kind of gifts men like most. Yu Wei thought for a moment before replying that for her master, he might like rare flowers and plants. For the third master, perhaps money would please him more. Soon they reached the mountain foot, and Nan Baozu excitedly called her to get off the carriage. Big Sister had come today too, and the 2 little ones wanted to go play with her. From afar, they saw a slender young lady being carefully helped down from the carriage by her maids. This was their big sister Nan Bao. Just as Nan Baozu was about to rush forward, she was suddenly held back by Zhao Zhao. It turned out Big Sister was shyly talking with young Master Zhang Yuanmao. Nan Baozu didn't go forward, but instead giggled with Zhao Zhao. Helplessly, Zhao Zhao forced out a stiff smile to join in. However, from a distance, what Xiao Yi saw was his little girl staring at Zhang Yuanawang with a silly smile. He heard Yu Wei report quietly that the young miss had asked what gifts men like to receive. His narrow eyes narrowed in displeasure, thinking Zhao Zhao must have taken a liking to Zhang Yuanawang. Just thinking about this, the cold young man instantly erupted with overwhelming jealousy and anger. With a dark face, he strode towards the manor. Lan Zhao Zhao, just you wait. The cold-hearted young man, once wronged, was the type that couldn't be coaxed no matter what. If the little girl said east, he would insist on west. In short, he wanted to make her so angry that her eyes and heart could only contain him alone. However, what he didn't know was that the little girl was a reborn soul. Zhao Zhao clearly remembered that in her previous life, eldest cousin Nan Baolong married Zhang Yuanawang. After the Zhang family swallowed all her dowry, they threw her out. Later, Zhang Yuanawang took wives and concubines, and falsely accused her of seducing her former husband. While there was still time, she must make her eldest cousin see Zhang Yuanawang's true face and give up completely. So she eagerly whispered to Nan Baorong, "Young Master Zhang brings a maid with him. There must be something fishy between them." However, Nan Baorong dismissed it as childish talk, saying young Master Zhang had caught a cold today, and the maid called Shenxian was just there to serve him. This poor excuse might fool the naive eldest cousin, but not the clever Zhao Zhao. She knew Shenxian would, before eldest cousin's marriage, bear Zhang Yuanawang's first son before anyone else, since eldest cousin admired Zhang Yuanawang's scholarship the most. Today, she, as a newly emerged talented lady, would make him lose face. I hear young Master Zhang's scholarship is unmatched in Shu County. I wonder if young master can match my couplet? Zhang Yuanawang contemptuously assumed the little girl was helping him showcase his talent, so he respectfully recited, "The moon is full in the sky, half moon on earth, month after month, full moon meets half moon." Zhao Zhao's couplet was from the future, one that had stumped countless scholars. Seeing Zhang Yuanawang sweating in distress, she was delighted. Now eldest cousin would surely see that Zhang Yuanawang wasn't all that special. Xiao Yi, however, couldn't be happy. What was so attractive about a powdered scholar? Yet she was staring at him without blinking. The young man unhappily put down his bitter tea, proudly matched the couplet. Tonight year's end, tomorrow year's start, year after year. End meets start. As soon as he finished, everyone was amazed, but Zhao Zhao was petrified with shock. Zhang Yuanawang was about to be humiliated. Why did second brother have to interfere? Lan Zhao Zhao has grown bold, daring to glare at me for another man. If only second brother hadn't interfered, Zhang Yuanawang would surely have lost face. With this thought, Zhao Zhao undauntedly posed another couplet, Narcissus and Jade Hairpin. Before the wind blowing out slow sounds, Zhang Yuanawang was shocked. This couplet was 10 times harder than the previous one, but as Shu County's top scholar, failing to match it would be too embarrassing. His embarrassed expression of being unable to match it made Zhao Zhao secretly delighted. She completely failed to notice the dark face behind her. The next moment, the dark face with angry eyes answered again, "Beauty you in red embroidered shoes under moonlight, bringing graceful steps." Zhang Yuanawang seized the opportunity to save face. I was just about to match that line, but brother Xiao beat me to it. This infuriated Zhao Zhao. She wanted to pose another difficult couplet to challenge Xiao. Just then, everyone heard the call for the feast and began to leave. Only she remained, feeling so frustrated she could cry. Just as she was about to follow the crowd, Xiao Yi suddenly blocked her path. The young man asked her about the gift she had mentioned earlier. She was momentarily confused, as she might have forgotten about it. Thinking about how second brother had repeatedly ruined her plans, she angrily retorted, "What's the rush? I promised, so I'll definitely give it." Xiao Yi sarcastically threw out, "Don't give others what you meant to give me." Then he left with a dark face, leaving the little girl pouting angrily. After dinner, the women sat in the courtyard watching opera. Among them, Zhao Zhao was distracted, calculating in her heart that small tricks wouldn't work. She needed to find a way to make eldest cousin completely give up. But before that, she had to appease second brother first, to prevent him from interfering again. Suddenly, she had an inspiration. If second brother received this gift, he would surely be moved to tears. Thinking this, she hurriedly left without watching the opera. After the banquet, Xiao Yi, usually good with alcohol, unusually became tipsy today. Swaying and barely able to stand, Shi Hu hurriedly came forward to urge his master to rest. However, Xiao Yi just rubbed his brow, still muttering, "Lan Zhao Zhao." Suddenly, opera singing could be heard from not far away. Others might not recognize the singer, but he immediately knew it was Zhao Zhao's voice. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. Learning opera for Zhang Yuanawang? Very well. Excellent indeed. Zhao Zhao now appeared unrecognizable from her former self. This unrepentant eldest daughter of the richest family, lowering herself to learn opera, just to please the future Lord Dishi. When the mood was perfect under flowers and moonlight, she was held tightly in the young man's embrace, yet was angrily scolded for being improper, because the possessive Xiao Yi was wrong. Usually, no matter when or where, whenever he appeared, the little girl only had eyes for him alone. But today, Zhao Zhao kept gazing at Zhang Yuanawang with infatuation. Xiao Yi accidentally discovered that the little lady had put aside her status to learn opera. When he thought about how all this was for that Zhang bastard, his chest instantly surged with anger and jealousy, nearly overwhelming him. Who did Zhang Yuanawang think he was? How dare he? He immediately ordered Shi Hu to investigate Zhang Yuanawang's background. At this moment, the young man's cold dark face looked particularly frightening in the pitch-black night. Though Shi Hu was puzzled, he quickly found out that Zhang Yuanawang had sneakily gone to the peach blossom forest with his personal maid. Xiao Yi fell into a complex silence after hearing this. However long Zhao Zhao practiced opera inside, he stood quietly outside listening for just as long. Suddenly the door opened, and Zhao Zhao was thanking the opera troupe master in her sweet voice. Seeing this, Xiao Yi quickly turned to leave, but was spotted by the sharp-eyed little girl. "Second brother, Why are you here? Xiao Yi instinctively turned around, remained silent with a complex expression for a moment, then said, I've had a bit too much to drink today. Walk with me to sober up. This suggestion played right into Zhao Zhao's hands. With no one around under the moonlight, she could find a good spot to boldly sing the flower song she just learned. Second brother would surely be deeply moved after hearing it, but after taking the lantern from Shihu, she found the young man walking as if on wheels of wind and fire, so fast that she had to chase after him. As they walked, Xiao Yi unconsciously slowed down, but like someone holding a grudge, he didn't say a single word. The strange atmosphere made Zhao Zhao glance at him from time to time. Suddenly, they heard improper giggling between a man and woman from the peach blossom forest. She curiously raised the lantern to look toward the sound. There was Zhang Yuanawang being intimate with the maid called Shenxian. The scandalous scene was something she had never seen in either of her lives. She was shocked. Her hand loosened, and the lantern suddenly fell with a noise. Zhang Yuanawang immediately shouted in their direction, Who's there? Zhao Zhao was frightened and froze in place. Xiao Yi quickly stepped forward and pulled her behind a tree. The young man's tall figure completely sheltered her small frame. Zhang Yuanawang looked around but saw no one. After cursing his bad luck, he left with Shenxian. At the same time, Zhao Zhao couldn't control her anger, wishing she could kill that scumbag with her glare. Then thinking of her gentle and pure elder cousin, tears unconsciously welled up in her eyes. She was too busy glaring at the scumbag, not noticing that Xiao Yi was looking down at her with a melancholic expression. Suddenly, the young man lifted her small face and gently wiped away her tears. With barely noticeable hurt in his voice, he said, Nan Zhao Zhao, it's not worth it. Zhao Zhao became angry. How could her elder cousin's lifelong happiness not be worth it? How could preventing her elder cousin from repeating the tragedy of her previous life not be worth it? Xiao Yi's teeth gritted. So his little girl really liked that damned bastard. However, Zhao Zhao paid no attention to the young man's mood and desperately crawled on the grass, as if looking for something. She indeed found Zhang Yuanawang's personal jade pendant and Shenshen's hairpin. Very good. These two items could serve as evidence against that scumbag. The next second, a large hand suddenly snatched away the jade pendant. Xiao Yi was thoroughly angry, his face instantly darkening like dusk. Zhao Zhao, do you still know what propriety is? Zhao Zhao became anxious. This jade pendant is very important to me. The usually cold and indifferent young man was so angry he felt his lungs might explode. Today he truly witnessed what it meant to mistake fish eyes for pearls. Here he was, a golden bachelor right in front of her, yet his little girl couldn't see him, instead eagerly picking up that worthless boy's jade pendant. Xiao Yi's face darkened instantly with anger. If you want jade pendants, I have many better ones at home. I'll give them all to you. Zhao Zhao was completely confused, wondering why she would need Xiao Yi's jade pendants when this one was evidence of Zhang Yuanawang being a scumbag. She gave him a, don't make trouble, look and was about to leave when she heard Xiao Yi's angry roar behind her. Zhang Yuanawang is your sister's fiancé. How should I face it when you're infatuated with Zhang Yuanawang? Her pupils contracted in shock. She turned around and pointed at herself in disbelief. Who said I'm infatuated with Zhang Yuanawang? She felt both angry and amused but decided it was better to explain clearly to second brother. Zhang Yuanawang is Shu County's top scholar, from a good family, handsome and talented. Naturally, many people admire him. She paused halfway through and playfully winked at his dark face. But I'm not one of them. Zhang Yuanawang is unfaithful and selfish, and the Zhang family is a muddy pool of filth. I'd have to be crazy to like him. The little girl's words sounded somewhat arrogant, but to Xiao Yi's ears, they were music. Then Zhao Zhao raised her delicate face and declared boldly, the man I marry must be the most upright and honorable man. He must have power, status, and talent, able to protect me from all worries and maintain the family's prosperity. As she spoke, the little girl seemed to glow with a dazzling light. The light shone on Xiao Yi's face, instantly calming his anger. Xiao Yi never knew the little girl had such high requirements for a husband. He thoughtfully touched the money cord he always wore on his wrist. However, Zhao Zhao suddenly moved closer to the young man, easily tugging at his cloak, speaking in a spoiled sister's tone to her brother. I'm still young. There's no rush for marriage. Later, second brother can help me find a good husband, like a duke or marquis. If not, even a prince or crown prince would do. Anyone else would have understood she was just joking, but Xiao Yi took it seriously. He felt his lungs were about to explode with anger. Very well. Excellent. Without his permission, Let's see who the little girl would marry. Zhao Zhao watched the raging young man, wondering why he was being strange and angry again. But for now, exposing Zhang Yuanawang was the most important thing. Meanwhile, Nan Bayorong was respectfully playing cards with her future mother-in-law. Suddenly, one of the Madam Li casually asked what medicine Nan Bayorong had been taking these years to maintain her health. Nan Bayorong replied that it was a prescription from Dr. Zhang, requiring 24 types of flowers from all 4 seasons, plus morning dew and frost, along with East Sea mermaid tears and peach gum ground into fine powder. This prescription was clearly both labor-intensive and expensive. Madam Li couldn't help but remark that once Bayorong married into the Zhang family, she wouldn't have such luxurious treatment. The attendant's face darkened upon hearing this, feeling that her family had been humiliated by the Nan family. Seeing this, Nan Bayorong hurriedly offered tea with both hands respectfully, trying to ease the awkward situation for her future mother-in-law. But Madame Meixiang Li thoughtlessly remarked that this tea was brought by the Nan family and was very precious. The attendant became instantly furious and knocked the tea from Nan Bayorong's hands. She arrogantly scolded Nan Bayorong, who had fallen to the ground, calling her a sickly person from a lowly merchant background. If not for old Madame Nan's desperate pleading, the Zhang family wouldn't have considered her. Nan Bayorong was helplessly berated but dared not talk back, only crying pitifully. Madame Li tried to mediate, but unexpectedly, the attendant became even more aggressive, threatening to cancel the marriage on the spot. She thought this would give her complete control over Nan Bayorong before she even entered their family. Suddenly, a young voice rang out. "Aunt, did you say cancel the marriage?" Looking toward the voice, they saw Zhao Zhao gracefully pushing aside the curtain as she entered. The attendant's troublemaking tonight came at just the right time. She wanted to help her elder cousin break off the engagement while protecting her reputation, so she quickly spoke up. "Today, it's our Nan family breaking off the engagement with your Zhang family, not the other way around." The attendant, instantly losing her arrogance, wasn't foolish enough to actually break off the engagement. Now she could only screech that the little girl had no authority and her words didn't count, hoping to muddle through this situation. However, Xiao Yi strode in menacingly behind Zhao Zhao. "I have the authority. Is that enough?" The young man, who had just been enraged by the romantically clueless little girl, was now eagerly stepping up to support her. Whatever his little girl wanted to do, he would support unconditionally without judging right or wrong. He wanted to show her clearly that he was exactly the ideal husband she described, that most upright and honorable man. Although Xiao Yi was only an adopted son of the Nan family, he was now an official, and with him present to maintain order. Even though the attendant was extremely unwilling, she had to suppress her arrogance before Xiao Yi and reluctantly asked what reason the Nan family had for breaking off the engagement. Though young, Zhao Zhao had learned well from the cunning Xiao Yi, easily setting traps. "May I ask, madam, do scholars value propriety and shame? What should be done if a scholar is caught in an improper situation with a servant in the wilderness?" The attendant replied without thinking. "That's shameless and immoral. They should be exposed immediately." This was exactly what Zhao Zhao was waiting for. Then she placed the jade pendant and hairpin she had found earlier in front of the attendant. "While taking a walk with second brother, we happened to catch young Master Zhang in an improper situation with a maid. They ran away when we disturbed them, but accidentally left these items behind." The noble ladies immediately burst into endless gossip. The attendant's neck turned red with embarrassment. It seemed this matter needed to be addressed tonight, so she immediately ordered Zhang Yuanawang and son Shenxian to be brought in. As soon as they arrived, she grabbed a teacup and threw it violently at son Shenxian, preemptively scolding the maid for being shameless, for seducing the young master. She insisted this was solely the maid's fault, completely unrelated to her son. At least this would protect Zhang Yuanawang's reputation and the Nan family's feelings. However, Zhao Zhao didn't want to let Zhang Yuanawang off so easily. She was determined to break off the engagement, so she turned to the most vulnerable target. "Miss Sun, you shouldn't have done such an immoral thing. Your mistress just said such people should be exposed." Upon hearing this, Sun Shenxian immediately stopped crying, thinking she couldn't die before achieving wealth and glory, so she threw caution to the wind, repeatedly kowtowing to the attendant, begging her to bless their true love. The attendant was furious, grinding her teeth and glaring at the troublemaker. She had planned to let this pass lightly, but now she had to be harsh, ordering the maid to be beaten to death. Facing death, Sun Shenxian desperately grabbed the silent Zhang Yuanawang for help. In front of everyone, especially the Nan family. The selfish Zhang Yuanawang not only refused to help but accused the maid of seducing her master. Only then did Sun Shenxian see the man's true heartless nature. Since he showed no compassion, she would show no loyalty. With nothing left to lose, she cried out to everyone, "I'm carrying young Master Zhang's child." The room's atmosphere froze. The Zhang family hadn't even married in, yet a maid was already pregnant. Today, the Zhang family's face was completely lost. Beyond salvation, the attendant was burning with rage. Zhao Zhao secretly rejoiced. This unexpected fortune was truly heaven sent. She quickly seized the moment, congratulating the attendant on gaining an illegitimate eldest son. However, regarding the marriage between Nan Beiorong and Zhang Yuanawang, the Nan family was withdrawing. After speaking, she immediately pulled her elder cousin away, clearly demonstrating the Nan family's stance on this matter. Now, her elder cousin's thoughts were most important, so she asked Xiao Yi to leave first while she spoke with her cousin alone. After a long while, Nan Beirong's face remained pale with shock, not uttering a single word. Just then, Zhang Yuanawang shamelessly came after them, speaking as if he were the victim. He begged for Nan Beirong's forgiveness. "I only made a mistake that any mortal would make. For the sake of our years of acquaintance, please don't be so particular about this." Zhao Zhao immediately stood between them, coldly retorting, "When young Master Zhang was consorting with a maid in the wilderness, did you consider your years of friendship with my cousin?" Seeing his last chance slipping away, in anger, Zhang Yuanawang suddenly raised his hand and slapped the young girl. The usually gentle Nan Beiorong suddenly rebuked him with an icy expression. "She is our Nan family's precious pearl. Zhang Yuanawang, how dare you discipline her in front of me?" Beyond redemption, Zhang Yuanawang dropped his gentlemanly facade entirely. "If you help cover up tonight's events, you can still be the Zhang family's young mistress. Think carefully. The Nan family is merely a merchant household, while we Zhangs are an official noble family." However, Nan Beiorong gave a contemptuous smile and mockingly replied to Zhang Yuanawang with unwavering determination, "You don't seem to understand. Now it's our Nan family who looks down on your Zhang family, and I especially despise a man of such ill repute as you." The young girl was about to cut ties with second brother, whom she had tried so hard to please, because she had specially performed opera late at night as his gift. Who would have thought she'd receive only scolding in return? Even when seeing her injured little face, second brother was so cold that he didn't offer even a single word of comfort. What a waste that when Zhao Zhao saw Xiao Yi come to support her earlier, she had felt a tiny bit touched in her heart. However, it was precisely because she kept insisting that elder cousin break off the engagement with the Zhang family that it provoked Zhang Yuanawang, that hypocrite, to angrily slap her in his humiliation. It was this slap that made Nan Beiorong determined to break off the engagement. She felt guilty about the innocent Zhao Zhao being hit, so she tenderly held the young girl's swollen face. "Zhao Zhao, I'm sorry. It's all cousin's fault. Come to my room. Let me apply some medicine for you." However, Zhao Zhao shook her head dismissively. "It's just a red mark. Nothing serious. What matters is that elder cousin could withdraw in time. Your grace makes you a model of feminine virtue." After speaking, she hurriedly waved and rushed back. After all this busy time, she still hadn't delivered her gift to second brother. In her haste, she didn't even have time to apply makeup, just put on an opera costume and stood under Xiao Yi's window, holding a folding fan with her delicate finger gracefully raised. She began singing "The Peach Blossom Fan" that she had practiced for half a day in the quiet night. The young and melodious opera voice drifted into the young man's room with the wind. Xiao Yi, who was reading, immediately recognized it as his little girl's voice. He walked to the window, listening to the melodious singing, furrowing his brows in confusion, wondering what kind of show Nan Zhaozhao was putting on this time. After the short performance ended, Zhaozhao formally bowed to the young man inside. "Second brother, don't you like flowers? I specially chose a segment from The Peach Blossom Fan. I wish you great success and power in your future." Xiao Yi's gaze fell on the young girl, unable to look away. At this moment, the young man finally understood. So, the little girl had learned opera for his sake, and he had been jealous of himself. Thinking about this, his lips involuntarily curved upward, a sweetness brewing in his heart. However, the young man walked up to her, gently pinching her cheek while pretending to scold sternly. "How can a well-bred young lady perform in the snow like this? It's improper." Suddenly, Zhao Zhao unhappily swatted his hand away, feeling extremely frustrated. This was all because second brother insisted on a gift. and now he was scolding her for trying to please the future imperial tutor. As she turned her head away in grievance, Xiao Yi saw the handprint of a slap on her cheek. The young man's eyes immediately darkened as he demanded to know who had hit her. Zhao Zhao felt embarrassed about the incident and didn't want to tell, but under the young man's overwhelming presence, she could only softly reply, "Earlier, Zhang Yuanawang hit me in his anger and humiliation. I think trading one slap for elder cousin's broken engagement with him was worth it." However, hearing this, Xiao Yi's anger grew even stronger. He was furious at Zhang Yuanawang, but even more angry that the little girl wouldn't think of herself. Then, seeing Xiao Yi's dark expression as he turned to send her back to rest, Zhao Zhao felt an inexplicable surge of grievance and unhappiness. Little did she know that after returning to his room, Xiao Yi was too agitated to focus on his books. How dare someone hit his person? This account couldn't be settled so easily. The vindictive young man immediately ordered An Wei to go to Shipu and crippled Zhang Yuanawang's right index finger. The uncertainty was how to cripple it, whether to cut at the wrist, the joint, or simply chop it off entirely from the shoulder. Xiao Yi, already in a foul mood, suddenly said sinisterly, "Now that I'm a government official, how can I do such bloody deeds?" Siku was speechless. Since when had the master started avoiding bloodshed? But if they had to cripple the right hand without bloodshed, how exactly should they do it? Master should at least make it clear. Early the next morning, concerned about the broken engagement, Zhao Zhao sent her personal maid early to gather information. Hearing the maid report that the man's family had withdrawn from the engagement with the Zhang family, she finally showed a satisfied smile. Then, she heard the maid whisper that something had happened to Zhang Yuanawang. Last night, Zhang Yuanawang's right hand was bitten by a poisonous snake, and now he couldn't even hold a brush. Her heart suddenly jumped. This meant Zhang Yuanawang could forget about taking the imperial examination to become an official. Even heaven was helping elder cousin get revenge. With this weight off her mind, she now wanted to dress up beautifully to meet cousin Song. As for the cold-hearted second brother, he could go wherever he pleased. She wouldn't humble herself to please him. The young man actually, unprecedented, scolded his beloved little girl harshly, just because he caught the little girl accepting a package of candy from her cousin. Actually, it was because of his coldness last night that she angrily threw the candy at his head by accident, but he misunderstood it as her defending her childhood friend cousin. In fact, when she heard about elder cousin's broken engagement, Zhao Zhao immediately thought of cousin Song. If Miss Song hadn't lived an extra life, she really wouldn't have noticed that the business-savvy cousin Song was secretly in love with elder cousin. In her previous life, upon hearing that elder cousin was divorced by the Zhang family, cousin Song immediately came to propose, but was rejected. As a result, he died of heartbreak in his prime years. Thinking about how cousin Song was not only talented and handsome, but also now a business elite, and most importantly, had good character and would treat elder cousin well. To facilitate this beautiful match, she eagerly went to find cousin Song alone. Leaning close to his ear, she quietly revealed the news about elder cousin's broken engagement. Now she was just waiting for him to quickly express his feelings to elder cousin. But unexpectedly, after hearing this, cousin Song maintained his composure and stated this matter had nothing to do with him. She immediately pouted in dissatisfaction, mumbling, "Don't you like my elder cousin? This broken engagement is a perfect opportunity. What are you waiting for? I'm just a mere merchant. How could I be worthy of her?" Hearing the self-deprecation in his tone, she became anxious. "Cousin, you're wrong. After the broken engagement, official families won't arrange marriages with her. Moreover, she's chronically ill. She'll suffer wherever she marries. Besides, she needs daily care. And the precious tribute pills, only the Nan family, Song family, and Shaw family can afford them. Would you bear to see elder cousin marry into the brutal Shaw family?" Cousin Song was struck silent. The little girl's every word touched his heart. Just then, elder cousin Nan Baolong came looking for Zhao Zhao. Seeing cousin Song there, she quickly bowed in greeting, causing him to blush instantly. He was so nervous he could barely breathe. Zhao Zhao couldn't bear to watch and secretly tugged at his sleeve. Only then did he manage to utter a with his bright red face. But Nan Baorong misunderstood it as dislike and could only smile helplessly. She politely left under cousin Song's dejected gaze. After she left, Zhao Zhao questioned her cousin in frustration. "Are you made of wood?" Cousin Song felt extremely wronged. Although he had decided since childhood that he would marry Nan Baorong, care for her thoroughly, and never let her suffer any grievances. After his parents passed away, he worked even harder to earn money, hoping to cure her illness and free her from pain. But every time he saw his beloved, he would become too nervous to speak, let alone express his feelings. While the man was feeling dejected, Zhao Zhao was considering whether to ask grandmother to help arrange the match. When cousin Song came to his senses, he patted her little head, but the little girl complained unhappily, "Don't pat my head, it'll stop me from growing taller." To cheer her up, he took out a package of guandong candy. The playful scene between the siblings was clearly witnessed by Xiao Yi from afar. Behind him, Yu Wei sighed. The cousin siblings who grew up together really have an extraordinary relationship. The possessive Xiao Yi's face suddenly turned awful, and he immediately retorted, "Zhao Zhao and I have an even better relationship." The 800-year-old vinegar's sourness made Yu Wei have to repeatedly agree. After parting with cousin Song, Zhao Zhao held up the guandong candy she just received to Xiao Yi. "Second brother, this is the candy cousin brought back for me. Would you like to try some?" However, the young man just snorted coldly and walked away directly, showing no interest in responding. Zhao Zhao felt extremely wronged. What was second brother angry about now? She hadn't even complained about his coldness last night. Feeling more and more aggrieved, in a moment of impulse, she angrily threw the candy at the back of his head. After throwing it, she ran away timidly, only hearing the young man's fierce roar behind her. Was the little girl angry because he despised the candy from her beloved? Xiao Yi was about to die from anger. Just then, Nan Yan suddenly appeared with the Xia family's daughter, Xia Qingqing, walking towards them. Among them, Xia Qingqing shyly approached. Young Master Xiao is a talented youth, unmatched in his generation. Qingqing wishes young Master Xiao a bright future and continuous success. Xiao Yi, already in a bad mood, simply didn't even bother with courtesy and left expressionlessly. However, in Xia Qingqing's eyes, this became a sign of shyness. She thought young Master Xiao must have noticed her beauty and become shy. It seemed the afternoon would be perfect to start discussing marriage arrangements. As Xia Qingqing's close friend, she could barely hide her fake smile, watching her talking to herself, weaving beautiful dreams of becoming an official's wife. While warmly calling second sister-in-law, she was coldly calculating in her heart, determined to make Xiao Yi serve her purposes in the future. Just a moment ago, the young man had been enraged by the little girl. The next moment, upon seeing her, he suddenly became uncharacteristically gentle, just because he heard the little girl compliment that his appearance was as beautiful as peach blossoms. However, Zhao Zhao, bearing the pressure of the young man's anger, came running because of something very important. In the afternoon, Madame Xia had taken the initiative to have tea with the Nan family's old madam. "Xiao Yi is promising and capable. My husband greatly admires him, and our Qingqing can't stop praising him. Now that he's entered officialdom, he should marry a daughter from a wealthy family who can help finance his career advancement." The old madam, being astute, immediately understood her meaning. She smiled faintly and replied, "But his ultimate rank is uncertain. I fear if I carelessly arrange a marriage with a merchant's daughter." Though she didn't finish, her rejection was obvious. Madame Xia responded with a mocking laugh. "Xiao Yi is just an adopted son of unknown origin. How capable can he be? He should count himself lucky to marry someone like our Qingqing, who excels in both beauty and talent." "Old madam, think carefully. You won't find another opportunity like this." Their conversation was clearly overheard by two little ones eavesdropping outside the window. Nan Baozu immediately whispered in shock, "Goodness, is this a proposal or a declaration of war? Madame Xia is too fierce, like she wants to eat someone." Zhao Zhao also sensed trouble, thinking that Xia Qingqing was not someone to be underestimated. If second brother married her, the Xia family and Nan Yan would rise to power together. Most importantly, that kind of person wasn't worthy of her second brother at all, so she quickly waved off the invitation to see the iron-eating beast. Nan Baozu immediately protested, "Don't refuse. They say the iron-eating beast is adorably round. We've been here so long but haven't seen it yet." Unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao playfully replied, "Piggy, just look in the mirror and you'll see something adorably round. Why bother going to see it?" After saying this, she immediately ran away, leaving behind a belated Nan Baozu stomping her feet in anger. "How dare you, Nan Zhao Zhao, making fun of my weight." At this time, Xiao Yi was sitting in a quiet courtyard reading. The young man rarely wore white clothes, with his hair loose, lacking his usual gloominess, somehow giving off the air of a handsome scholar. Zhao Zhao quietly hid in a corner, afraid of disturbing him and worried he was still angry, planning to wait until he got tired of reading. As she waited, feeling bored, the beauty-loving girl casually picked a peach blossom. Just as she was debating whether to hold it or put it in her hair, she heard a familiar voice calling, "Lan Zhao Zhao, come out." She was startled. She quickly flew to second brother's side, flattering him. Second brother looks as beautiful as the peach blossoms outside. Though pleased, Xiao Yi maintained his usual cold demeanor. "What do you want from me?" Zhao Zhao didn't know how to answer, thinking she couldn't just say she came to discuss marriage matters, nor directly tell second brother not to marry Sha Qingqing. As she was pondering in her heart, Shigu suddenly appeared, hanging upside down outside the window. "Master, something terrible is about to happen to Miss Nan." Then they saw Shigu leap down, landing gracefully. The Zhang family, seeking revenge for Zhang Yuanawang, had plotted to ruin the eldest Miss Nan's reputation. Upon hearing this, Zhao Zhao became immediately anxious. Without regard for second brother, she ran straight toward the snow listening tower that Shigu pointed to. On the way, she happened to run into cousin Song. Without a word, she dragged him along to the snow listening tower. Though somewhat confused, cousin Song obediently followed. When they pushed open the door to the topmost room, both were startled. They saw Nan Bayorong unconscious next to an old man with a head full of scabs. Cousin Song nervously watched Nan Bayorong, wanting to check on her but afraid to approach. His hesitation angered Zhao Zhao so much she wanted to hit him with a club. Suddenly, footsteps and voices could be heard from outside the room. In desperation, Zhao Zhao quickly pushed cousin Song, telling him to take eldest sister out through the window immediately. Realizing the gravity of the situation, cousin Song quickly picked up Nan Bayorong. Just as he was about to leave, he looked back at Zhao Zhao worriedly. "What about you after we leave? If people see you, it will damage your reputation." Zhao Zhao calmly urged them to leave quickly. With no choice, cousin Song could only trust her. He carried Nan Bayorong and jumped out the window, leaving the young girl alone in this troublesome situation. The cold and indifferent young man's most proactive help was being ruthless, ruthlessly cutting off all the unwanted suitors around the young girl. Who would have thought he'd later realize belatedly that the young girl only wanted to play matchmaker for others? While secretly delighted, he was very annoyed. Nan Zhao Zhao. He had been jealous of nothing all this time. It turned out, when Nan Bayorong was about to have her reputation ruined by this scheme, cousin Song, following Zhao Zhao, had found the unconscious Nan Bayorong first. He picked her up and was about to secretly leave through the window, but worried about leaving the young girl alone. However, Zhao Zhao remained calm. "Don't hesitate. I have my own way." With no choice, cousin Song could only trust her and jumped out the window carrying Nan Bayorong. At the same time, the footsteps outside grew closer. Zhao Zhao suddenly pulled out her hairpin. She was about to stab herself several times to create wounds that would look like someone had hurt her. In that split second, a broad hand suddenly stopped her. Xiao Yi, who had appeared out of nowhere, was glaring with a dark face. "Lan Zhao Zhao, what are you doing?" The young man snatched the hairpin from her hand and roared in fury, making Zhao Zhao's heart tremble. She timidly explained, "I'm doing this just to protect myself. After being injured, I would be seen as a victim kidnapped by a man, and my reputation wouldn't be ruined." Hearing this, Xiao Yi helplessly bent down and flicked her forehead in disapproval. "You're hopeless." Then the young man picked her up and leapt out the window. Just then, Zhang Yuanawang's mother had just arrived at the door with others. Before entering, she started spreading malicious rumors. How could Bayorong be sleeping with a ruffian? Perhaps there's more to her breaking off the engagement with our Zhang family. As soon as she finished speaking, one of the madams who came along coldly mocked her. "Madam Zhang, do you have X-ray vision?" Standing outside yet able to see what's inside the room, "We can't see anything at all." Determined to get revenge for her son, Madame Zhang impatiently pushed open the door in front of everyone. Lan Bayorong committed adultery and lost her virtue before breaking the engagement. How shameless. Let's see how the Nan family compensates us. Madame Zhang was gleefully plotting in her heart how to extort money from the Nan family. She failed to notice the awkward expressions on the faces of those behind her. There was no trace of anyone from the Nan family on the bed, only a sleeping old debtor. Madame Chong was stunned at the sight. She had clearly heard from the maid that Nan Bayorong had been lured here. Everyone understood what had happened after thinking it through. Amidst the crowd's mockery, Madame Chang's face turned ashen with anger. She couldn't help but worry that if the Nan family learned of this, the two families would completely fall out. It was truly a case of losing more than what she tried to gain. Meanwhile, Xiao Yi was carrying the young girl, leaping down from the eaves. Hearing Zhao Zhao say she wanted to eavesdrop on eldest sister and cousin Song, the young man felt gloomy but still let her do as she wished. By now, Nan Bayorong had regained consciousness. Upon learning what had happened, she tearfully begged cousin Song to throw her off the cliff. She felt she was no longer pure and had no face to live on, her crying making his heart ache. Cousin Song, anxious and forgetting his nervousness, immediately blurted out, "That was someone else's scheme to harm you, not your intention. In my heart, Miss Nan is pure as ice and jade, the finest lady." Nan Bayorong's expression suddenly turned serious. She suddenly threw herself into his embrace. Though brief, the hug made the young man blush. Nan Bayorong quickly realized she had overstepped and hurriedly pushed him away. "I know I'm not pure anymore. I hope young Master Song won't despise me. After returning, I'm willing to become a nun for you." Before she could finish, cousin Song sternly interrupted her. The usually gentle young man acted completely out of character, threatening like a bandit chief. "You take advantage of this young master and try to run away? Where in the world can you find such a free meal? Miss Nan, you must marry me." Seeing her stunned with no response, cousin Song finally mustered the greatest courage of his life and confessed with a red face, "Wronger, I have loved you for many years through 7 lifetimes." They both spoke in extremely low voices. Even though someone was trying to eavesdrop, they couldn't hear clearly. Zhao Zhao was so anxious she could only seek help from Xiao Yi beside her. The cold young man was more than happy to help cut off the unwanted suitors around the little girl. Since cousin Song loved Nan Bayorong, then Nan Zhao Zhao definitely had no chance. Unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao, who should have been heartbroken, became excited as if injected with energy. "That's wonderful. Cousin finally acted like a proper person. There's no better match in the world than them." Xiao Yi was stunned for a moment before realizing, then pouted in displeasure. "You, Nan Zhao Zhao, so I've been getting jealous over nothing all this time." At that moment, a cold wind blew, and the little girl inexplicably sneezed. Xiao Yi quickly picked up the little one, preparing to go down the mountain. After resolving her eldest sister's marriage matter, Zhao Zhao remembered what she wanted to discuss with second brother. "Second brother, Madame Xia came to propose a marriage between you and her daughter Xia Qingqing. Did you know about this?" The young man nodded expressionlessly, showing no emotion. "But second brother, I don't want you to marry Qingqing." The little girl's soft voice drifted through the quiet mountain, striking deep into the young man's heart. Xiao Yi's steps down the mountain suddenly stopped. He turned his head, his eyes filled with complex emotions, as if eagerly waiting to hear the answer he wanted. The naturally indifferent young man was once again irritated by the little girl to his core. He really wanted to kiss her to death. Before his anger could subside, he was already captivated by the little girl's sweet smile. Well, he chose her himself, so he could only continue spoiling her. When he heard Zhao Zhao's domineering demand not to marry Xia Qingqing, at that moment, Xiao Yi eagerly anticipated hearing a passionate confession from the little girl. However, nothing nice came out of Zhao Zhao's pretty mouth. "Xia Qingqing is mean and wicked, full of schemes. She'll only ruin second brother." She knew it wasn't right to speak ill of others behind their backs, but she couldn't care about that now. Xiao Yi's eyes darkened, his expectations instantly turning into frustration. So the young man sarcastically retorted, "You're also mean and wicked, full of schemes." Zhao Zhao was stunned. So this was how second brother saw her. So unbearable. Angrily turning away, she pouted and complained endlessly. Second brother is so hateful, never saying anything nice, while one made a fuss and the other let her be. All this was witnessed by 2 young ladies near the steps. Among them, Xia Qingqing was grinding her teeth in anger. "Nan Zhao Zhao is too hateful, daring to speak ill of me in front of young Master Xiao." Meanwhile, Nan Yan beside her eagerly stirred up trouble. "My sister has always been so vicious. Sister Qingqing, I'm afraid this marriage won't work out." Sure enough, when Xia Qingqing heard she couldn't become an official's wife, she became anxious. After thinking for a moment, Nan Yan pretended to kindly suggest, "Just wait until the Nan family's 1,000 acres of mulberry fields emerge. If the Xia family helps in their time of need with this favor, how could Xiao Yi refuse your marriage? This plan is good, but there's a problem. How to cause trouble for the Nan family's mulberry fields." Suddenly, Nan Yan sinisterly mentioned in a low voice. The Zhang family who has a grudge against the Nan family. Who would have thought a teenage girl could be so vicious as to use others as weapons? She was even willing to sacrifice her family's interests to achieve her goal. After Qian Yan returned, the beauty-loving Zhao Zhao took out her newly purchased precious accessories. She absent-mindedly picked up a pile of kingfisher feather pendants, complaining that second brother hadn't returned home for 3 days. Is the military camp really that busy? The maid beside her smiled and replied, second young master has just taken office. He might be out drinking and socializing with colleagues. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhao Zhao immediately clenched her little fists in anger. As a young man, he should prioritize his career. How can he drink every day? The maid was speechless. This tone sounded just like second young master's wife. Suddenly, Zhao Zhao excitedly instructed the maid to prepare some good wine and food, saying she would show second brother her beautiful new accessories later. So she eagerly headed to the military camp carrying a food box. At this time, Xiao Yi was working in a large tent shared with several other colleagues in the military camp. Suddenly hearing the report that his sister came to visit, he was slightly stunned and was about to get up to meet the little girl. Just then, a delicate white hand suddenly lifted the tent curtain. Zhao Zhao walked into the tent with a bright smile. Against the blood-blue background, the little girl looked even more fair and lovely. The scene that met her eyes was several other officers drunk and sprawled about messily. Only Xiao Yi was working. After she observed for a moment, she smiled and offered the prepared food and wine. The group of men immediately took the food box and tactfully left the tent. Only then did Zhao Zhao run to Xiao Yi's side. Second brother, how do you like my new earrings? She moved close to the young man, sweetly acting coy while deliberately swaying her new earrings. The accessories were beautiful, but couldn't compare to the little girl's sweet smile. Though thinking this, Xiao Yi arrogantly replied, they're just ordinary. Angered, Zhao Zhao immediately puffed up her round cheeks and complained, second brother is so bad at sweet-talking girls, you'll never find a wife. Yet the criticized young man seemed to enjoy it. The cunning young man effortlessly eliminated his love rival, daring to set eyes on his little girl right in front of him. So he wanted to properly explain the origin of Zhao Zhao's name, having 72 new outfits made each year, adding 9 sets of accessories, drinking only tea made from snow or dew water, using only rouge made within 7 days. This level of pampering, was she being raised as a little ancestor? Originally, Zhao Zhao had specially dressed up beautifully to visit the military camp, wanting to hear second brother personally compliment her beauty. Who knew this blockhead Xiao Yi would dismiss it as ordinary? No girl would feel comfortable hearing such words, especially the beauty-loving Zhao Zhao. However, Zhao Zhao accidentally discovered that compared to the pile of account books in front of second brother, the others' desks didn't even have a single pen. This was clearly bullying, making one person do all the work. She became quite angry. She immediately turned around, ready to confront them fiercely. Suddenly she heard Xiao Yi's deep voice from behind. Come back. I won't. Why should they push all the work onto you? At this moment, the little girl was like a protective young cub. This made Xiao Yi's heart soften. Then, the young man casually took out a candy to comfort the little girl. Lan Zhao Zhao, you should know that every loss comes with a gain. Previously, due to Yangzi's lowly status, I was ostracized at the academy. All the annotating work that no one wanted to do was pushed onto me. But because of this, my writing skills improved tremendously, and my academic performance became effortless. I could easily rank first in the academy. After speaking, Xiao Yi gently patted the little girl's head, but Zhao Zhao swatted his hand away dissatisfied, mumbling half-understandingly, but you're not fighting in battles. What's the use of Master Fang looking at so many accounts? Estate expenses. Military operations require accounting. Even court politics needs accounting. Don't you think these skills are important? Realizing that accounting was such an impressive skill, Zhao Zhao immediately blinked her starry eyes and pleaded with second brother. Then will you teach me accounting? With such a soft and fragrant little girl sitting next to him, Xiao Yi felt uncomfortable and had to firmly refuse. Angered, Zhao Zhao harbored a belly full of fire and stormed off with a stern face. At that moment, she bumped into a young man entering the tent. The young man was struck by the little girl's beauty at first sight. Right in front of the stern-faced Xiao Yi, he shyly told Zhao Zhao everything about himself, almost proposing on the spot. Zhao Zhao clearly saw the young man's passionate yet shy gaze, but she understood well that this person wasn't a suitable match for her, so she simply greeted him and left. After she left, the young man reluctantly turned his gaze to Xiao Yi. Your sister is truly cultured and graceful. Is she betrothed? However, Xiao Yi didn't answer directly, but with an unusually calm tone, began introducing. My sister has been raised in luxury since childhood. She needs 72 new outfits made yearly, 9 new sets of jewelry daily, 12 types of dim sum every morning. The kitchen must constantly simmer bird's nest soup. She only drinks tea made from snow or dew water, and won't use rouge made more than 7 days ago. Are you sure you can afford her? In this casual conversation, he effortlessly extinguished a newly kindled flame of love. Meanwhile, after Zhao Zhao returned to the Nan residence, she sat sulking on the swing. If the miser won't teach me, then fine. It's just accounting. What's so great about it? While she was complaining nonstop, a maid suddenly rushed over in panic. Miss, terrible news. There's a problem with all our family's thousands of acres of mulberry fields. We can't feed the silkworms now. Zhao Zhao's heart jumped. This was the crucial period for spring silkworms to form cocoons. How could they do so without mulberry leaves? This would greatly impact the Nan family's silk business. She needed to discuss countermeasures with grandmother immediately. Actually, old Madame Nan had already started arranging to purchase mulberry leaves, but citywide prices had suddenly skyrocketed overnight as if someone was manipulating them. While the old madam was worried sick, she suddenly heard that Madame Shaw was requesting an audience. The pampered and willful young lady actually volunteered to work in the poor countryside. She even declared she would find a solution within 3 days. Before this, even old Madame Nan was at her wit's end, completely stuck. Just then, a servant announced Madame Shaw's visit. Old Madame Nan frowned in displeasure but still asked to let her in. Then, they saw Madame Shaw enter with a bright smile, saying, I heard the Nan family is in trouble, so I came specially to help. Hearing this, old Madame Nan's face darkened as she gestured for the servants to leave. After the servants withdrew, Madame Shaw continued with feigned sincerity. This is the crucial time for spring silkworms to cocoon. It would be such a waste if they starved. Given our years of friendship, our Shaw family is willing to provide mulberry leaves to you. Old Madame Nan listened calmly, but she knew crystal clear that the Shaw family's sudden kindness must come with conditions. Sure enough, Madame Shaw eagerly continued with a smile. Our Chinchin and your young master Xiao would make a perfect match. If old Madame agrees to this marriage, the Shaw family will provide all the mulberry leaves the Nan family needs. In other words, they wanted to trade second brother for mulberry leaves. Zhao Zhao, hiding in the corner, cursed silently at their despicable behavior. She suspected the Shaw family must be connected to the mulberry field incident and probably manipulated the market prices. Meanwhile, she anxiously waited for grandmother's response. Though elderly, old Madame Nan was far from foolish. She knew well that Xiao Yi's value was far greater, and she wouldn't make the stupid mistake of losing a watermelon while picking up sesame seeds. So she politely declined Madame Shaw's offer, which caught Madame Shaw by surprise. Her face immediately turned ugly. Well, let's see how your Nan family gets through this. She spat out resentfully before storming off. Zhao Zhao, still hiding in the corner, saw grandmother's smile fade instantly after the visitor left. Losing all her previous composure, her heart ached for her worried grandmother, so she decided to help ease her burden. However, grandmother lovingly held her, still treating her like a 3-year-old, saying, as long as our Zhao Zhao eats and drinks well every day, grandmother is happier than anything. But the old madam underestimated Zhao Zhao's determination. After her rebirth, Zhao Zhao was no longer the spoiled, willful little fool. She wanted to protect the Nan family and everyone in it. Therefore, she voluntarily asked to visit the estate to check the mulberry fields. Grandmother, I'm not afraid of hardship. Just think of it as letting me out for some fresh air, she pleaded with all her charm. Unable to resist, old Madame Nan could only nod in agreement, accepting it as her granddaughter's filial piety. Without expecting Zhao Zhao to be of any real help, soon they arrived at the farm. Since her luggage got wet on the way, Zhao Zhao had to change into coarse farm clothes, rolling up her sleeves like working women, exposing her fair arms. The maids felt sorry seeing this, as the precious pearl of the Nan family had never worn such simple clothes before. However, Zhao Zhao herself was quite satisfied. The cotton and linen were breathable and convenient for work. Suddenly hearing someone call, Zhao Zhao, from behind, she instinctively turned around and looked carefully. Xiao Yi was walking slowly towards her in his dark robes. She was puzzled. Wasn't second brother supposed to be at the military camp? Why was he here? The young man didn't answer but instead asked why she was here. At this, Zhao Zhao couldn't help but straighten up proudly and replied, I'm here representing the Nan family to inspect the mulberry fields. Xiao Yi remained silent and took off his cloak. He wanted to say it wasn't proper for a young lady to expose her arms, but instead awkwardly changed it to, it just rained. The weather is cool. I'm worried you'll get sick. Zhao Zhao was momentarily touched, but she still remembered how second brother wouldn't let her see the battle flags. So, the little girl puffed her cheeks and pushed the cloak back. I don't want to wear second brother's clothes. Besides, I'm here to work. I need to look the part. The soft and sweet 12-year-old girl was acting like a little adult. She then energetically waved and ran towards the mulberry fields, leaving Xiao Yi grumbling to himself, ungrateful little wolf. And I rushed here as soon as I heard about it. When they reached the mulberry fields, an old man was staring at the withered leaves, sighing that the disease affecting these trees was strange. Even Shu County's best tree doctor had seen them but was helpless. Zhao Zhao frowned her chubby face and touched the leaves. The trees that should have been lush were withered and blackened, completely unsuitable for feeding silkworms. To everyone's astonishment, she suddenly promised firmly, use the mulberry leaves from the storehouse for now. I'll definitely find a solution within 3 days. Even the maids couldn't help but doubt, when so many elders were helpless. What solution could the young miss possibly find in 3 days? The young man had just called the little girl ungrateful, yet immediately after, he eagerly followed behind her, worried about her getting wet in the rain and falling down. He even swallowed his pride to secretly ask his old friend for help. As it turned out, the once willful and spoiled Zhao Zhao was going to brave the rain up the mountain, just to invite the divine doctor down to help treat the Nan family's poisoned mulberry water. However, the maids were worried about the slippery roads in the rain, fearing something might happen to the young miss. But nothing could stop Zhao Zhao's determination to climb the mountain. The next day in pouring rain, Zhao Zhao, wearing a straw rain cape and holding a wooden staff, walked on the wet steps. The rain made the path slippery and difficult to walk, and gradually she became exhausted. After resting briefly, she continued climbing up. She didn't notice that not far behind, a young man had been silently following her all the way. Xiao Yi knew that Dr. Yang's thatched cottage was built on the mountain. He guessed Zhao Zhao wanted to seek the divine doctor's help, but Dr. Zhang was known for his eccentric temperament and might not want to see her. After some thought, he quickly used his lightness skill to take another path up the mountain ahead of her. Inside the mountain cottage sat a handsome young man. This young man was the divine Dr. Zhang Suihan. Hearing familiar footsteps, he looked up in surprise. What wind brings our young master Xiao here? Brother Xiao, did you come specially to visit me? Compared to Dr. Yang's enthusiasm, Xiao Yi appeared particularly cold, only saying flatly, help the Nan family with something. However, Dr. Zhang raised his eyebrows with interest. I heard the Nan family's mulberry trees have problems. Could it be you want me to help treat their mulberry fields? But your relationship with the Nan family is quite ordinary. Xiao Yi turned his face away shyly, proudly telling him to ask less. But just as Dr. Zhang was excitedly preparing to continue questioning, suddenly, a soft little girl's voice came from outside. Dr. Zhang, are you there? This is Zhao Zhao from the Nan family coming to visit. The truth instantly became clear. Young Master Xiao had come for the little girl. However, Xiao Yi coldly warned him not to mention that he had been here, then turned to hide in the adjacent bedroom. Little did he know that his deliberate avoidance only further proved there was something between them. Now let the great Dr. Zhang see what kind of extraordinary girl could catch young Master Xiao's attention. So he eagerly opened the door. What appeared before him was an adorably sweet little child, beautiful in appearance but looking only 11 or 12 years old. At the same time, Zhao Zhao was also observing Dr. Zhang. She never expected the divine doctor to be so young. Though surprised, she didn't show it. Instead, she smiled and explained her purpose today. Your reputation as a divine doctor is well known throughout Shu County. I've come specifically to ask for your help in treating them. Before she could finish, she was abruptly interrupted. I only treat people. I can't save the Nan family's mulberry trees. Zhao Zhao was stunned at these words. After thinking for a moment, she replied confidently, I'm asking you to come down the mountain precisely to save people. Seeing Dr. Zhang raise his eyebrows in surprise, gesturing for her to continue, the little girl slowly explained that if the mulberry trees had problems, tens of thousands of silkworm farmers and workers would lose their harvest. Worrying daily about lack of food and clothing would easily lead to illness. Dr. Zhang has healing hands and a kind heart. Our Nan family is willing to pay generously for your help. What was actually about solving the mulberry tree problem had been cleverly reframed as saving people. Dr. Zhang admired her clever demeanor and couldn't help laughing heartily. Such a wonderful person truly deserved him. Brother Xiao. While Zhao Zhao looked puzzled, suddenly, he deliberately called out toward the bedroom in a teasing voice. It's a pity someone is blinded by a single flower and can no longer see the thousands of other blooms. After speaking, he turned to pack some luggage for going down the mountain. Zhao Zhao followed him to the bedroom door. At a glance, she saw that in the bedroom there was actually a bed made of silver bricks. She immediately sensed something was amiss. Very strange indeed. The usually miserly doctor hadn't even asked about payment before eagerly agreeing to go down the mountain with her. Then the only reasonable explanation was that Dr. Zhang knew second brother. The little girl had merely made a casual comment about marriage, yet it had angered the young man who doted on her the most. She was even punished to copy the 4 books and 5 classics 100 times. To think that earlier, the young man had secretly swallowed his pride to ask his friend for help. Who knew that in an instant, his friend would become his love rival? He was suddenly struck dumb. You've made me angry. I've been waiting for you to grow up, yet you want to marry someone else. So the pampered Zhao Zhao had braved the rain to climb the mountain, just to invite Dr. Zhang down to help treat the Nan family's poisoned mulberry trees. However, as soon as she spoke, the usually money-loving Dr. Zhang agreed without even asking about the price. Something was very strange indeed. So Zhao Zhao tentatively asked the doctor, "Do you know my second brother?" Xiao Yi, hiding behind the screen, was slightly startled. At the same time, after a moment of stunned silence, Dr. Zhang hurriedly denied it in a stiff voice. However, Zhao Zhao immediately exposed him mercilessly. First, you who love money so much agreed to come down without even asking about the price. This shows someone must have asked you to agree to my request. Second, when I came in, I noticed a dripping wet umbrella by the door. This means someone must have visited before me, and that person was my second brother. After saying this, she was surprised by her own flawless analysis. She didn't know she could be so clever. Now she just needed to find him to confirm her suspicions. Though the room wasn't large, she just couldn't find any trace of second brother. As she felt confused, Dr. Zhang had figured it out. So the naturally reserved young Master Xiao liked this little lady from the Nan family. Poor him. With no elders to arrange matters, and such a proud and awkward personality. As his brother, he should help arrange this marriage. Thinking this, he suddenly explained with a smile, I agreed to help only because I saw how clever the young lady is, not because of your second brother. By the way, I wonder if the young lady is betrothed? As he spoke, he slowly walked closer, causing the young lady to show a shy expression. But unexpectedly, Zhao Zhao blinked her honest big eyes and blurted out, I'm very delicate and hard to please. You probably can't afford to keep me. Better hurry and pack your things. We need to go check the mulberry trees. Dr. Yang's mouth twitched upon hearing this, secretly wondering if Brother Xiao knew about her willful true nature. While thinking this, his hands were busy packing various bottles and jars. The strange bottles immediately aroused Zhao Zhao's curiosity. Could these be Dr. Yang's medicinal pills? However, Dr. Zhang held up one of the bottles and proudly introduced, these are all miraculous skincare products, things like lotions, face masks, and essences. These items are very popular in my hometown. Although Zhao Zhao heard, though she didn't understand completely, she could tell that Dr. Zhang not only had extraordinary medical skills but also had close ties with the future emperor. His prospects must be limitless, so she secretly calculated that if she could marry him, in the future, if grandmother had any headaches or fevers, they wouldn't even need to call a doctor. Plus he could teach her beauty secrets. Most importantly, Dr. Zhang was a single man. If she married him, not only would she avoid being bullied by in-laws, she might even persuade him to marry into the Nan family. The more she thought about it, the better it seemed. Therefore, when Dr. Zhang picked up his packed belongings, he turned to see the young lady's eyes gleaming green, like a wolf eyeing its delicious prey with ill intent. His body shuddered, and he instinctively hugged his luggage tighter. For her future son-in-law, to deeply appreciate his graceful figure, and to quickly develop feelings between them, Zhao Zhao instantly transformed into a delicate damsel. Master Zhang, my legs are aching terribly from walking the mountain path. Would you please carry me down? For Xiao Yi's sake, Dr. Zhang could only submit and carry the young lady down the mountain. When they reached the Nan family estate, his legs were trembling uncontrollably, and he was nearly worked to death. It seemed this male-acting Zhao Zhao was truly a trap, the kind you fall into and can't climb out of. He couldn't help but shed a tear of sympathy in his heart for brother Xiao. However, Zhao Zhao immediately jumped down and happily ran towards Xiao Yi. Second brother, I'm back. Second brother, did you just visit the cottage on the mountainside? Hearing Xiao Yi calmly deny ever going there, Zhao Zhao already knew the truth. She was just testing him, but didn't expect second brother to be so dishonest. However, considering his kind help, she decided to be generous and not hold it against him. After complaining dissatisfiedly, she suddenly moved closer and whispered, "Second brother, I don't plan to marry Cheng Deu. I plan to marry Master Zhang. What do you think?" As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Yi's eyes visibly turned cold instantly. He never imagined that one day his friend would become his love rival, and one that he himself had brought in. Suddenly, he forcefully closed his book and coldly scolded with a stern face, "No matter how informal the Nan household is, I won't tolerate such nonsense talk. Copy the 4 books and 5 classics 10 times and reflect on your behavior behind closed doors." The young man emanated a frightening aura, making Zhao Zhao involuntarily step back twice. At this moment, Dr. Zhang, who had been waiting for a while, suddenly came forward asking when they would go see the mulberry trees. However, when he saw the young lady looking like a wronged little wife, he secretly marveled at brother Xiao's effectiveness in handling her. Being caught by others in such a cowardly state, Zhao Zhao immediately pouted in displeasure and turned her head, saying irritably, "Go find the old steward of the estate, he'll take you to see them. Report back to me when you return. Wait, this person might become her husband who marries into her family. She shouldn't treat him so coldly." So she quickly changed to a gentle expression, and sweetly reminded him to take an umbrella. But Dr. Zhang fled even faster, as if his feet had grown wings. This girl changed faces as easily as eating, and that affected manner was quite alarming. After he left, Zhao Zhao tugged at Xiao Yi's sleeve coquettishly. "Second brother, you've assigned enough 4 books and 5 classics already. Can we skip the confinement?" Usually, when the young lady acted cute and coy, there was no problem she couldn't solve. But surprisingly, today it wasn't working. Xiao Yi's face remained extremely dark, and he angrily yanked his hand away from the young lady. Seeing this, Zhao Zhao felt indignant in her heart, thinking back to how she had kindly gone to the military camp a few days ago, only to be driven away by second brother. And today, he'd rather jump out a window than see her. She angrily clenched her small fists. As someone who valued her pride, Nan Zhao Zhao had tried her best to please him but was always met with difficulty. She finally couldn't bear this grievance. She decided to risk it all and shouted at the future imperial lord, "Xiao Yi, if you despise me so much, let's end our relationship here." The usually calm young man was actually disturbed because of this young lady, and she was a willful young lady who bullied him. He kept claiming to be the young lady's brother, yet was so jealous that he forced his friend to only speak to the young lady through doors. Chaos. Complete chaos. Xiao Yi's heart was in total disarray. Whether it was hearing Zhao Zhao say she wanted to marry his friend Dr. Zhang that confused him, or hearing Zhao Zhao say she wanted to sever ties with him. After the young lady ran away angrily, he had been silently playing chess alone, but the stirring in his heart wouldn't calm down. Actually, at first, he truly despised this young lady who bullied others all day. But later, overnight, Zhao Zhao seemed to become a different person. She learned to protect her family, was willing to learn the 4 arts, and even tried to act cute and please him every day. For ordinary men, they would naturally be happy to have such a sister. But it seemed he had never thought of Zhao Zhao as a sister from the beginning. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel jealous or harbor some secret expectations. While he was troubled, Dr. Zhang happened to walk in. Brother Xiao is really bored, drinking alone by himself. As the menu was brought in, the servant couldn't help commenting, "Master has been playing chess alone for an hour. Look how messy the board is." However, Dr. Zhang casually placed a piece, while teasing, "It's not the board that's messy, it's someone's heart." Then he suddenly leaned closer and whispered, "Brother Xiao, which lady have you taken a fancy to? We're siblings, but I haven't even mentioned Nan Zhao Zhao." Xiao Yi was instantly speechless. Dr. Zhang couldn't help but roll his eyes, internally criticizing how pedantic people were these days. The two had no blood relation. What kind of siblings were they? Then he decided to provoke this blockhead. "So the young lady thinks you're tired of her. Might as well end everything between you two." However, Xiao Yi's eyes suddenly turned lonely. repeating word by word, "We can only be siblings." The young man's implication was that he couldn't bear to end it. Understanding the hidden meaning, Dr. Zhang couldn't help but chuckle. How adorably awkward Xiao Yi was. These obviously contradictory words. Was he asking him to be a witness? Anyway, he never liked hearing such self-contradictory talk, so he stood up to leave, saying he had something to discuss with the young lady. When Xiao Yi heard this, he immediately felt uncomfortable all over. Forget proper male-female etiquette. Just stand outside the door to talk. Don't enter the room. Dr. Yang's mouth twitched speechlessly, secretly cursing what an overprotective brother he was. And so, on this cold night, Dr. Zhang pitifully stood outside the room to give his report. He reported that someone had tampered with the mulberry tree's irrigation water. It would take half a month to restore the trees to health. Inside the room, Zhao Zhao's small face immediately scrunched up in worry, thinking that the mulberry leaves in storage wouldn't last half a month. Moreover, the mulberry leaves in the market had been frantically hoarded by buyers, driving prices up to 10 taels of silver per jin. But purchasing mulberry leaves from other regions wouldn't arrive in time. This deeply troubled our Zhao Zhao. Just as she was at her wit's end, she suddenly heard a maid announce that someone was requesting to see her, although she didn't know who it was. As the young lady of the Nan family, she immediately went to receive the guests. It turned out the late-night visitors were shoe brocade merchants who had heard about the Nan family's troubles and came specially to help.